Okay, friends, welcome back live here on this early Tuesday evening. Rusty Weather here, CFLW, tracking yet again strong and severe storms that are beginning to develop across central Florida. We've got one severe thunderstorm warning, but we're going to have a pretty active again early evening time frame here. So going to track those for you guys live. Hope you're doing well. As we get started, please remember CFLW is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. You see their logo at the bottom of your screen. They're your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They cover the entire state of Florida. Any kind of property damage you get, wind, hail, hurricane, they can walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. They do offer free consultation and policy reviews. Leanonmelaw.com is the website. All right, so let's get started. This is playing out kind of like we discussed yesterday, right? We have a lot of lift in the atmosphere. The sea breezes are beginning to interact. We have all of the old outflow boundaries from the storms yesterday. There's just so many copious amounts of boundaries that these thunderstorms can develop off of, and there's a ton of lift in the atmosphere. So they're going to get rowdy again. Let's kind of set the scenario for what's happening right now. We have a very large cluster of thunderstorms right now through Flagler and the northern sides of Volusia County, where we do have a severe thunderstorm warning here from the De Leon Springs area to just west of places like Ormond Beach, Holly Hill, and in Daytona Beach as well. Let me drop off this special weather statement so you guys can see that severe thunderstorm warning. So main threat with this one is going to be 60-mile-an-hour winds and some 3/4 inch size hail. It's the same scenario that we had yesterday. Does look to be a nice hail core there just east of De Leon Springs, just to the east of the Highway 11 area and the northeast side of downtown DeLand. Moving is kind of basically drifting off towards the east, but just like yesterday, these storms are not going to have good forward speed. They're going to be slow. They're going to be erratic moving here as the steering currents are quite weak. So this is the summary. Daytona Beach, DeLand, De Leon Springs, DeLand Airport, and Glenwood, some of the areas included in this severe thunderstorm warning. This is the bulletin for the National Weather Service office in Melbourne. A severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect until 6:30 for north central Volusia County. Severe thunderstorm near the DeLand Airport, moving to the east at 5, 60-mile-an-hour winds and some penny-sized hail. Again, it's kind of drifting east, but it's developing on the south side of a large cluster of thunderstorms that gets back into the northern sides of Lake County and over Flagler County as well. Not severe, but we did have special weather statements a little bit earlier in the afternoon for places like Palm Coast and Bunnell and Beverly and Flagler beaches. So some heavier rain up in those parts. But what's been going on the last 15, or actually really about the last half hour, is that we continue to see a lot of activity developing right over Metro Orlando and feeding into this kind of drifting north and starting to really begin to line up. And the problem is, it was just like when the storms initiated yesterday. You have all of these outflow boundaries. They're colliding together. They're getting expansive, and you can start to get some rotation with some of these developing storms. So it's not a zero chance that we could again have another tornado warning today. All right. There could be some kinds of brief spin-ups, and the Weather Service office even mentioned that. So we have to monitor the tornado threat, the funnel cloud threat, especially in a situation which is happening right over the downtown Orlando area. I mean, you can almost see a little appendage here, a little notch towards the Windermere area. And these are the kinds of things that as they develop, before we really start to see them cluster up, and then you have more of a straight line wind threat as they're merging, as they're interacting, you can get the spin up possibility. So it's getting rowdier here in the downtown Orlando area. We do have a special weather statement for the next 18 minutes. It does include Orlando, Apopka, Altamont Springs, Ocoee, and Winter Park, but it basically includes all of Metro Orlando. And again, it's not really moving. All that this thunderstorm is doing is just expanding in nature. Possibility of a hail core over the Pine Hills area right now. Maybe, again, inch-size hail with some of that. Now, the special weather statement doesn't talk about that kind of hail size, but you get the idea that this is explosive development on this early Tuesday evening. And these storms are going to be going up, and they're going to be going up in a hurry. So please keep that in mind here. They'll continue to line up across Lake County, and just like yesterday, we should start to see them slowly meander off towards the east, but it's going to take some time. We also have a couple of showers back over Tampa, but again, these are not severe. I'm still not expecting there to be as much activity across the I-75 corridor from Hillsborough to Pasco, Hernandez, Hernando and Citrus counties. Thunderstorm developing off of the sea breeze. This is the sea breeze coming on shore. Behind that, we have a non-severe storm right now in the southwest sides of Brevard County. So that's the overall look about what's happening in the area. And again, got to monitor as these storms begin to form, you know, what could be happening as far as the wind fields within this. Let me do a couple of things here real quick. Just going to look at a little bit of velocity product here with you guys. Again, analyzing this with you in real time. So special weather statement will go until 6:45 here in the Orlando area. I don't like what I see down south. It looks to be okay right now, but if I go back over to reflectivity, you can see there's just this little notch here. And, you know, again, as these storms develop, it was the same scenario that happened in southeast sides of Orlando yesterday when we had our our tornado warning. I know I haven't had a chance to look at the chat yet. I apologize. I promise I will get to that in a second. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I know we have our mods in place and other friends of the channel. I saw them early asking you guys to hit that like button. I really appreciate that as well. Let's take a look at what's been happening. Now, we had a thunderstorm develop right over Winter Garden in the western side of Orange County. At this point, those storms have pulled just a little bit farther up to the east. So 15 minutes ago, this was a really gray sky, even looking west from Winter Garden, but that activity has slowly drifted off towards the east. This is the live look to Conway. Again, we're kind of shooting away from the strongest storms. The strongest storms are to the left of this camera or even behind it right now. Again, this is looking east from Conway. So you're starting to see some development north and east, but generally speaking, it's a little bit more due north. And then at the attractions area, there are some showers, again, south towards Champions Gate in the Celebration area. You can see that rain shaft, that downpour, and that is, just like yesterday, trying to move up right across I-4. Friends, in a lot of different ways, this is a rinse and repeat from yesterday afternoon. I think the storm structure and the hazards that come along with them and the locations that they could impact are virtually the same. The environment that we're in is still conducive for all of that. It was obviously a very steamy day. We had temperatures well into the 90s. We had feels like numbers, 103 to 107 in most spots. These storms didn't get going until late in the day, so there's plenty of heat energy. We didn't rake the atmosphere too much with storms overnight. Right? If you get storms early in the day or overnight, you can, rake the atmosphere and not allow these storms to get very strong. Good news is that the severe thunderstorm warning for now, right at 6:30, has been allowed to expire. So we'll see what the Weather Service Office wants to do. We still have our special weather statement that encompasses this, and even this one has just a little bit more of a south drop into this. You can see some of the storms beginning to line up in the northern sides of Lake County. And again, here in Metro Orlando, there's pockets of really nasty weather right now, right along 17, Castleberry, Altamont Springs, east of Maitland. Not going to be a fun drive across I-4. This is moving towards Goldenrod up to 417 near Vito, the south shoreline of Lake Jessup. You've got Forest City, Wekiva, very heavy rain and storms across the 408 near Pine Hills, right? So you've got 408, you've got Silver Star, you've got Colonial, and you've got a lot of heavy rain and storms moving through that area at this point in time. Pea-sized hail likely within some of this activity, and there's the rain developing right now over Celebration, Four Corners, heading towards Lake Buena Vista. Not a lot of lightning with this yet, but that's just beginning to pulse up. Okay, so that's what's happening right now. I do have wind gusts on, so if you see those numbers cropping up, those are the wind gusts. If you look at the bottom of your screen, that's updating in real time, current conditions across a lot of Central Florida. All right, let me jump into the chat. It's been a little bit of time here. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hey, Rhea. Hey, Sin. How are you? Amy back in the house from Ormond Beach. Alex in Palm Coast had power flicker. Okay, these storms are slow, erratic movers. The steering currents are basically non-existent. If they're moving, they're actually just expanding at this point in time. So we talked about it yesterday. Locally heavy rainfall, some flood advisories are not out of the question. And especially when we start to add on a couple more days of stormy weather or tropical downpours beginning on Thursday, you start to add up a lot of rain in a short period of time, and you start to get a little bit of a better threat there. Rhea, sky is dark here in Lake Mary. Hey, Blue Goose, how you doing, pal? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, a nice little thunderstorm rolled through St. Augustine a little bit earlier. Hi, Daisy, how are you? Jacksonville in the house. They say it's forming and not forming. They say they don't know what's happening. Daisy, what are you talking about? Are you talking about storms, or are you talking about our tropical system off to the east? Happy to answer any questions you have, but I just some clarification on what you're talking about. The American Dowser, haven't had any severe weather in Leesburg since 2006. Gotcha. Hey, Florida investor, how are you? Sean, good to see you as well. Well, Aaron forming during the hurricane season is 100%. It's just which one of these becomes Aaron, right? The one to our east has now a 40% chance of development, so it's a possibility. Hey, Ray, good to see you as well. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for hitting that like button. Again, I wanted to jump on right now because, worried about how these storms are going to evolve in the next hour or so. I think it's a good idea to keep an eye on these, live. I think these storms, as they collide, are going to pulse up and become at least strong, if not marginally severe. Again, winds of up to 50 miles an hour possible here in the Orlando metro area. It's not a great time. We're maybe just past the peak of, getting home from work here across the I-4 corridor and, Orlando in general. But that being said, still a lot of folks on the roadways, and we're slowing down through all the major thoroughfares. The 429, the I-4, 408, 417, all have a slow go out there, at least towards MCO, Conway, and Lake Nona. You're getting a little bit drier conditions at this point in time. So, back down 417 in the beach line, looking okay right now. It's wet across I-4 all the way towards Celebration. Again, this is our East Coast sea breeze that has marched in. So we'll see, what kind of collision that we're still going to get across the spine of the state. Just like yesterday, I am expecting storms to slowly push their way back to the east. Now, the thunderstorms, just like yesterday, early, lined up more along the coast the farther north you went. So Jacksonville towards St. Augustine had the storms a little bit earlier. Some redevelopment all the way into the eastern sides of Putnam County near Palatka. Those could make a run into the area. The most stout core right now is Palm Coast, Flagler Beach, but especially back down towards Ormond Beach and the Daytona Beach areas. Let's take a look at the hail with this. And again, this is why they issued this. Now, it's interesting because they're only talking about quarter-size hail, but my product and my radar have bigger hail sizes than that. They have up to an inch-size hail. Now, hopefully that's just ingested with a lot of heavy rain, and we don't actually have more than inch size. But, northeast side of the land, half inch, 3/4 inch to nickel-sized hail. If that is falling, we're getting on the teetering point of damaging hail to roofs and cars. So keep that in mind. If you live in that area, be aware of that. Obviously, it's a bit too late to get outside and trying to move the car because there's a lot of lightning. You don't want to go and do that. But it's not a great scenario there because, again, it's not moving very much as well. I'm just taking a look at the winds. Here on the south side, as moisture feeds into this south side, there can always be a little bit of a squirrely twist on this south appendage. So got to monitor that. There is a little bit of a broad spin here towards Lake Helen, but there's nothing outrageous to the wind speeds. You have, 40, 50 mile an hour, what we call gate-to-gate shear, but nothing is extremely tight. But these are the areas that, as we go along, I keep a really close eye on, right? And for those folks who don't know, I spent 7 years in Oklahoma City as a meteorologist. So tracking tornadoes and the potential for tornadoes and what develops tornadoes is something I'm very adept at and kind of second nature to me. So as we go through this process, just in my mind, I'm always kind of back thinking about the things we need to keep an eye on. Starting to get a little bit of an impulse and a pickup of some of the heavy rain and storms over Maitland and Fern Park. And again, I'll put this into motion over the last half hour, but you're not going to see much, if anything, just kind of that more than anything else across I-4. Ray still has a lot of lightning and thunder as well. Florida investor, some loud thunder and lightning in Claremont. Appreciate that. Now, today I was a little bit more prepared. I've got my Lean Law tumbler with my Publix Diet Green Tea, so I'm good to go. We'll need one of the kids to run up a bottle of water. And again, as long as there's not extensive damage to the home when I get done with this, I consider that be a win. Yeah, these storms are beginning to line up like that. There's no doubt about it. So again, we had our severe thunderstorm warning for inland sides of northern Volusia County. The storm right now over Orange County is beginning to merge. As that happens, you can really start to get some very funky winds within this as well. Again, I'm just going to reset the shot real quick. Earlier in the day, by the way, Gainesville did have a 40-mile-an-hour wind gust. Oop, wrong button. Apologize. But I wanted to zoom in here. If you notice that the computer is taking this storm and is actually trying to push it west to merge with all of this. So the next thing you know, right on I-4 here towards Eatonville and Fairview Shores and like Lee Road, and over towards the Orlando Science Center, places like that, you can really start to see some winds pick up, especially near Winter Park. These winds freshen up as these storms collide. Then you get a new boundary to form and new development. But that's where you could also see some rotation as these storms kind of begin to interact with each other. So you got to watch out for the merging of these as well. That's exactly what happened yesterday that prompted the tornado warning. I would still be a little bit more concerned on southern edges of this, the flank of this. If there's nothing congesting the storm out of the south, you get a lot of that moisture feeding in, and that can also cause there to be some rotation. This storm, kind of just like yesterday, sitting out over Lake Buena Vista, and it's beginning to drift in. So if you know anyone who works at the attractions or at the attractions at the hour, hopefully they're paying attention. That's the live look to the attractions. Again, we're just 1 mile from the Magic Kingdom on this camera view. As we look back off towards the south, basically, your Disney property is just beyond that tree line, but certainly the opportunity for some storms to continue to develop in those areas. Back over to Winter Garden. Again, we're looking off towards the west. The storms are east of the area as of now. It's a beautiful shot, but you can see just all the turbulence in the air, all the multiple decks of clouds. There's a lot of lift in the atmosphere. And, from time to time, as we go through the live stream, we'll kind of get into the overall pattern the next couple of days. But, with this in place right now, it is going to be kind of an interesting scenario the next few afternoon and evenings, even into the morning hours beginning on Thursday for the storms that will be in the forecast and just how much rain we could end up getting. Live look out to Conway. You're starting to get more thunderstorm activity trying to pop up there to the east of Conway, especially to the north and to the east. Again, beautiful backlit thunderstorm for you right there. Might be able to catch some lightning from time to time. Looks like a developing cloud structure here. And there's the opportunity as well that some of those clouds could actually be brought along with the East Coast sea breeze as well. So it's just one of those scenarios where all of these boundaries in play are going to allow for multiple storms to continue to develop in a very widespread fashion with very slow, erratic movement. Just like yesterday, it is in many ways a rinse and repeat of our Monday afternoon and into our evening. So we do have a new special weather statement here, which is going to take over the one here. I'm trying to zoom in and see. So that one's going to expire in 4 minutes, and it's an even larger one. This is an extremely large special weather statement, but the Weather Service knows that the only thing that's going to be happening here in portions of Seminole and mainly into Orange and Eastern Lake and maybe even southern sides or northern sides of Osceola County is that this is just going to expand. That's all that's going to happen. So let's get the new bulletin here from the NWS office in Melbourne. Strong thunderstorm impacting southwestern Seminole, western Orange counties through 7:15. It's a cluster of strong thunderstorms and a line extending from Winter Springs to near Oak Ridge. And they're nearly stationary, 50 to 55 mile an hour winds and some pea-sized hail. Orlando, Sanford, Apopka, Altamont Springs, and Ocoee included in that. You get up to 55 mile an hour winds, you're teetering severe thunderstorm criteria. You're teetering on the potential for some damage. That certainly is strong enough winds to knock down some tree limbs and cause some power outages. We've had the internet outages with the lightning that we've had here, and we're going to run it back again. While light unsecured objects, if this was trash day and the trash can is still out at the edge of the street and you're not within these thunderstorms, you might want to pull it back inside, because the next thing you know, you get very heavy rain and that thing's going down the street to the end of the road. I hear you, Daisy. Yep. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Again, appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for taking a quick second, hitting the like button for me. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. I want to welcome all of our new subscribers from yesterday's stream. Appreciate you guys finding the channel and joining on in. Again, this is a live only channel, so jumping on when there is a severe weather impact threat here of any kind in Central Florida. Today, We're going to be watching for these storms continuing to develop. We've had one severe thunderstorm warning that just expired a few minutes ago, but also have to watch out for a low-end tornado threat. The chance is low, but it's also not zero as some of these storms begin to merge and interact in all of the outflow boundaries from yesterday's storms. It's a very interesting scenario in general. Let me show you guys a couple of different products here as we're watching these storms. This is the excessive rainfall risk for today, and it does extend through most of our central and eastern areas. Again, all this product is telling you is that there's an opportunity that within our areas in green, we could exceed flash flood criteria. It's only a 5 to 10% chance. Again, there are other criteria that could be, hit, like a flood advisory, which is not a flash flood warning, but saying that, hey, within this area, we've had a lot of rain, more is expected. There could be some flooding, minor flooding of low-lying areas, places like that. You get into the flash flood warning, you have ongoing flooding in those areas. Not expecting there to be any general organized severe storms, but again, seeing some of the routing activity is likely going to be possible over the next several days. Also going to show you guys the visible satellite imagery here and our loop. I'm just going to throw this into motion. Again, if you guys are also just tuning in, we do have now a 40% chance of development with the area off to the east. Yesterday it was 30. We are beginning to see just a little bit of a mid-level twist develop off of our trough, or our shear line that has, again, done exactly what we expected. It's sitting right over the northern part of the state. It's a little bit farther south in the Atlantic, but this boundary will just shift farther and farther south into central Florida through at least Thursday, right? This, if it does develop, or even if it doesn't, is forecast to drift west more than likely before it goes northwest. So the problem is, this will continue to get closer to our area, enhancing the lift, enhancing the tropical moisture over our head. It's going to be like a wet sponge, and we're going to be efficiently squeezing out showers and storms for who knows how long. It could be into the weekend. There's no doubt about it. And obviously, if this wraps up into something, then we'd have to talk about, some potential wind impacts and beach impacts for the East Coast. But that's down the road. But what I am much more confident about is how this system is going to be interacting with this trough line and producing, we talked about severe storms yesterday, the severe storms today, potentially severe storms tomorrow, and then beginning Thursday, transitioning into a tropical downpour, very wet environment where the rain and storms will develop in the morning hours, limiting the heating of the day, so you drop your chance for severe storms in the afternoon and evening, but providing widespread heavy rain that could lead to some flooding issues and just very wet and even embedded stormy conditions beginning on Thursday. And who knows how long that could last. That could be multiple days of that scenario with that potential development area off towards our east. Hey, Therese, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Hi, Farah, how are you as well? Thank you for coming back into the chat. Farah, one of the moderators of the channel. Farah and Fiona, the two F ladies holding down the channel, and I appreciate you guys so much for doing so. We also have a special marine warning. Again, I'll drop that off from time to time, but obviously boaters here, Volusia County, southern sides of Flagler County, special marine warning, gusty winds as those storms pull offshore. There's not really anything to track at this point in time because, again, these storms are just really beginning to blow up and blossom. But we do have pockets of very heavy rainfall right now, just east of Castleberry, south of Winter Springs, on over towards Fern Park and Maitland areas, Upaloma. It just a really wet, stormy early evening here in Metro Orlando. Decent amount of lightning. These storms have all kind of merged together, so we'll see how they're going to play out here, but they're not moving very quickly at this point in time, so very heavy rainfall is likely with this. Let's check out if there's any hail being produced out of this at this point in time. Doesn't appear to be anything significant, or that product went away again. Looks like that product went away again. All right. It's a very finicky product. There's a couple of different ways I can look at this though, so bear with me. Just seeing if I can pick up any hail cores here, guys. Nothing crazy. That is good. All right. So I would believe that if, like, let's say towards the Maitland area, and Altamont Springs, if we were getting any hail being produced out of this, I believe it would be very small. See what the computer is saying. Has up to 3/4 inch size. Not severe hail, but a little bit higher than I expected. But embedded within this, man, it's nasty. And there you go. They just issued a severe thunderstorm warning. It's not shocking. This storm looked like it was pulsing up. So here you go. Now Metro Orlando under a severe thunderstorm warning. You can still have wind gusts on. Just double checking that. So there's your temperatures. No wind gust out of the airport yet. All right, so let me drop off the special weather statement just so we can see this a little bit clearer. And it encompasses most of the severe thunderstorm warning. But let's get the details from the National Weather Service for this new severe thunderstorm warning right over Metro Orlando. Southwest Orange, Central Orange County until 7:15, severe thunderstorm over the executive airport. Okay, I'm telling you right now, the reason why they issued this severe thunderstorm warning is that the executive airport probably recorded a wind over 50 miles an hour and probably close to 60. It hasn't popped up in my system as of yet, but if they're pinpointing this severe thunderstorm over the executive airport, it's because there is a METAR sensor with wind information, and they're probably picking up winds that are approaching or exceeding severe thunderstorm warning criteria. That's why you would elevate a special weather statement to a severe thunderstorm warning just a few minutes after you issued the special weather statement, because you have ground truth information that shows you that these winds are actually peaking closer to 60 miles an hour. So we'll see, but based on the fact that they're saying that this is over the executive airport, and if you live in downtown Orlando, let me know what you're seeing right now. I think that's why we have our severe thunderstorm warning. So winds of 60 now. Still have the 3/4 inch size hail as a possibility. Damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Orlando, Altamont Springs, Vito, Winter Springs, and Winter Park included within that. This is the summary of what we just talked about. Again, movement very slow off towards the east. So we'll see here at the executive airport, which is just east of downtown, what they picked up wind-wise. But I have a feeling when we get the special METAR update from that area, we're going to see a wind that probably approached that. The last report so far was at 620, so that's not the new one. So we'll wait and see what happens there, but I'm fairly confident this is why we have a severe thunderstorm warning, because we're picking up near 60-mile-an-hour winds. So look, let's be clear about this. Delaney Park, Azalea Park, Baldwin Park, Union Park, even towards Conway, could be prepared for the opportunity for winds of up to 60 miles an hour. Based on the core of winds, we have Azalea Park at 726, and then on over here towards Delaney Park, you also have a very hefty thunderstorm with a lot of wind being produced. And again, let me be clear, this is on the south side of this whole complex. I talked about that earlier. You really have to watch that south side when there's no congestion with any thunderstorms south of there to really feed in a lot of energy, to feed in a lot of wind and kind of get the strongest part of that thunderstorm. Hey Garrett, how you doing? Hi Marilyn, how are you? Marilyn, where are you? If you don't mind me asking. Hi Ashru, how are you? Conway just had a good burst of wind. Appreciate you letting me know. Appreciate you guys jumping in again. Thanks for letting me know what's happening in your area. Let me do this as well while we're waiting for that report. Let's do a track. So I'm going to bring on our manual tracking tool here. This time it's even more of a straight line, but I'm going to do that as well. So we're going to go from the southern side of this and do a storm track for all of our friends here in the eastern side of Orange County. So we'll go up here. And again, it's 6 miles an hour. So here you go. So some of the areas impacted. Now look, it's just east of Baldwin Park and Delaney Park as we speak. Heaviest activity is just north of Conway. So I've got Union Park at 713, Azalea Park at 709. And again, 5 mile an hour speed, 5 to 6 mile an hour speed. So it's not going to be very quick, but you can see that it's just even going to take some time here to drift east of Baldwin Park at about 7 o'clock. Then it just slowly continues to follow 50 towards Union Park at about 7:20. 7:12-ish, 7:12, 7:13. Again, my system will show you the time of arrival based on the cursor. We'll count down to the second exactly, depending on forward speed, when this could be moving in. Already getting some lightning near Azalea Park, but the worst of that is still to come. So that's what it looks like there. Again, Winter Park, goldenrod, all included in that. Let's see if we have a storm report from there yet. So this would be what's called the local storm report. Again, I'm just really curious, as to why that warning was issued, but there is no local storm report yet. We'll probably get one soon. Still continuing with the special weather statement, by the way, over Volusia County as well. That goes for the next 6 minutes. But if you're just tuning in, severe thunderstorm warning for a lot of Metro Orlando from I-4 East, bracketed by a larger special weather statement, so not as strong as storms, Ocoee, Winter Garden, Apopka, Wekiva Springs area back down towards Hamlin and the Lake Buena Vista area, but this is a very stout part of that activity. It's getting closer to Conway, so let's go back over to our Conway cam. And that's the thunderstorm right there, kind of just to the north. We'll see how much it back builds south, or if there's just new development south as these winds feed into it. Again, if we have a little bit of a surface wind right now, it's mainly out of the south, even to the mid-levels of the atmosphere, but it is really slow, erratic at this point in time. Hey, Marilyn, near Conway. All right, keep me updated. Kim from Winter Park, how are you, Kim? Thanks for tuning in. Hey, Kevin, how are you? Hey, Palm Bay Jags fan, how are you doing, man? So far, so good in Palm Bay. You're just fine right now in Brevard County. Hi, Garrett. How are you? You shot 300 today. That's like buying everyone a beer kind of score. Congratulations on that. Kim says the thunder is rough. Look, friends, these are going to be rowdy storms. These are going to be noisy storms again. A general sense is that this is in many ways a rinse and repeat of what we had yesterday, where these storms are developing off of our enhanced sea breeze interaction, where we have old outflow boundaries skewed about the entire central and the eastern sides of our area. And these storms are very efficiently developing. They're going very hard, they're going very fast, and they're producing a lot of heavy rain and a lot of lightning as well. Really noisy storms again. Back over to Disney. Looks like the concrete's a little bit wet there, but that shower is just south of that camera, but it's still moving in. The breeze picking up a little bit right now, just on the doorstep of, the attractions area from Universal back down towards Epcot, Volcano Bay, places like that, the I-Drive corridor, all that's beginning to lift up to the north. And you can see some darker clouds developing near this camera in Winter Garden. Still quieter off towards our west as we look towards the horizon in the Lake County and areas beyond. But in here, western Orange County, a little bit of development of some thicker clouds. We'll see if some of that rain drifts back west over this camera over the next half hour or so. But again, the main game in town right now is right over Metro Orlando. Thunderstorm, which is severe, capable of producing winds of up to 60 miles an hour and some 3/4 inch size hail. Again, expecting there to be some kind of report from the executive airport here of a really strong wind gust in just the last couple of minutes that prompted that severe thunderstorm warning. Pretty much expecting that based on what the National Weather Service was saying. Now, for those who live outside of this area, there's a little shower right now over the Temple Terrace area, a couple of showers in Hillsborough County back into interior sections of Manatee and Sarasota. A few lightning strikes here or there towards I-75, but not a lot of activity expected there. We've got a rogue lone storm southwest sides of Brevard County. Keep an eye on that one. It's kind of thinned out a bit. That green line that you see is the East Coast sea breeze that is marching its way in. Notice now that it's getting to be fed into this severe thunderstorm. So the opportunity for more development here and kind of pulsing up that thunderstorm is not out of the question. And then again, we'd have a new special weather statement to take over this one. So this is still producing heavy rain and storm activity. Ormond Beach, Daytona Beach, Port Orange, Wilbur by the Sea, Holly Hill, places like that. That special weather statement will probably go away, but it's now being replaced by a new special weather statement south. And Just like yesterday, all these storms are doing are building up and connecting. And so this whole area is going to end up being one huge conglomeration of thunderstorms from the northern sides of Osceola County to the southern sides of Flagler County. I'm telling you right now, this is all just going to merge together. And when those outflow boundaries hit, you're going to get new development. It's going to go up rapidly. You're going to get intense rain and lightning, could even get a bit of spin. Again, a risk for a tornado is very low today, but it's not zero. Just like the environment we had yesterday, we got to watch out for these thunderstorms as they begin to kind of, merge. What kind of winds are being produced out of that and how much rotation could be coming in with some of this activity. Just going to drop the special weather statement one more time, again, real quick. And this is building south now, so Conway and Edgewood and Pine Castle and Meadowwoods all included, now in increasing activity, but a lot of heavy rain and lightning right over the western sides of Orange County. And again, slow movement, 5 miles an hour, guys. 5 miles an hour, winds of 60, max hail size 3/4 of an inch, Orlando, Altamont Springs, Avito, Winter Springs, and the Winter Park areas. That's your summary of your severe thunderstorm warning. Not a lot of lightning here. If we zoom in close enough, a couple of lightning strikes. Look, still don't want to be outside around 5:35 in World Drive and places like that, over the attractions area. Let that pass you by before you get back out. And again, if you live, back down towards the 417 and 441 and places like the Turnpike and southern sides of OPT and JYP, I mean, you're seeing this thunderstorm activity, build back down, right? Certainly south of Holden Heights now too. Is feeling in the house today or not? No. Okay. Oh, so I was going to say what's going on in Altamont Springs, but Donna just jumped in and said it's booming there in Altamont Springs. Ashru says power flickering here. Just had a blast hit fairly close. Might lose the stream. There you go. More than likely, yes, for that far north and west in Marion County. Now look, you're going to have potentially some non-severe activity roll across your area, but not expecting a lot in the way of some booming thunderstorms that far north and west in the northern sides of Marion County. Not, again, just like yesterday, I said it, I was very serious about it. I can't rule out a thunderstorm in any location for the remainder of the evening and even early overnight. We're going to be most concentrated with the highest activity, strongest storms, I-4 to I-95. But I can't rule out a few storms out in I-75. It's just a really efficient air mass, a lot of lift in the atmosphere, and it's like a wet sponge over our head, guys. There's so much tropical moisture, and there's even more coming. That's why I'm more concerned, beginning on Thursday about how much rain we could end up getting with this, because it could be an unpleasant situation in a couple of spots with some of the rainfall totals we might end up getting. Even these storms are building here back again in the southern Volusia. Heavy rain over Sanford at this point in time as well. What's interesting is, again, let's see if we can get some of these wind gusts to pop up. Still shockingly, and I just want to make sure, I mean, they're there. Daytona Beach has a 32-mile-an-hour wind. Still shockingly, we haven't had the update yet from the one here. Now let's take a look at this area. So you've got this part of the thunderstorm, which the computer is saying has lined up to be a very active part. So let's talk about this area right now, right? So now with this activity, you have a slow movement to the east, and some of the areas that could be impacted would be Belle Isle at 704, Baldwin Park 706. So Baldwin Park has already had some activity, but there's more juice coming, right? It's not just one storm coming through. This is a massive cluster of storms. There'll be an embedded heavier activity, more embedded lightning in a couple of spots. That's coming back to Baldwin Park in a couple of minutes. Conway at 717, Goldenrod 724, Azalea Park 729, Union Park 730, and the MCO area back to 742. So as it builds south, it could begin to impact even the southeast sides of Metro Orlando. That storm has to be now very close to our Conway cam. There it is. So live look to Conway. That thunderstorm is developing. Again, we're looking east. We've got a fresh breeze beginning to hit the Conway area, and you can really just see it move in. I mean, look at these sheets of rain coming over the lake as we speak. Those winds are really beginning to freshen up there in Conway. Good core of that storm is moving through. By the way, just to be clear, the Weather Service has extended the severe thunderstorm warning farther south. It now goes all the way down to Belle Isle and close to MCO. So they're seeing exactly what we were talking about, that thunderstorm was really picking up some... I woke you up. I'm on, Fiona. I was actually asking about you earlier. I was like, Fiona lives in Altamont Springs. What's going on there? But I saw a report from Donna just a couple of minutes ago who said it's booming in Altamont Springs, and obviously you're confirming that as well. So thanks for tuning in, Fiona. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for the 2,000 congrats as well. Appreciate you guys very much. Again, thank you to all of our new subscribers. Appreciate you guys taking a quick second and liking the live stream and subscribing to the channel. Again, live only channel. I'm on live for you right now, 7:03 on this Tuesday evening. You are looking at a live shot from the Conway area near downtown Orlando, just south and east, as a severe thunderstorm is moving over the Conway area as we speak. Severe thunderstorm warning is going to be affecting this area until 7:15. And it looks like potentially we might have just lost that camera as that severe thunderstorm is coming through. What else is new? I'll wait a second to see if it pops back up. Doesn't look like it's going to. We'll get it back. Let's go back over to Winter Garden. Quieter there. Still looking okay. And now that shower with a few embedded strikes of lightning has hit the attractions area. So Lake Buena Vista I Drive, it's wet, it's stormy. Once again, not great early evening for the attractions, close to the fireworks times. I know we're still probably 2 hours away, I think, from most of those fireworks displays, which this time of the year is relatively late in the day because of the late sunset. But again, not fantastic, you know, for the locals who like to get out in the evening hours and enjoy the parks, or for all of our visitors from across the world. Here we've got more rain and storms right over. Yeah, Blue Goose, Ormond Beach certainly is. Ferris says they are as well. All right, one more look at Conway to see if it has come back. It has not. Okay. Keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it. I am going to do one thing here. I'm going to message a friend of the channel where that is located. But let's be honest, it could easily be a power outage, right? We'll see. Try and get that camera back up for you guys. But again, all right, so here we go. 56. Exactly what I expected, right? The reason why they issued this severe thunderstorm warning is that at 6:57, they had a 56-mile-an-hour wind gust at the executive airport. Again, they went from a special weather statement to a severe thunderstorm warning. They pinpointed it over the executive airport. You can put two and two together, and that's because the weather equipment there at the executive airport was producing near or above severe thunderstorm wind criteria. So it shows you the kind of wind that is being produced out of this severe storm. 60s are damaging winds. It can cause problems. It can take down some roof shingles or some tiles. It can knock around loose objects. It can cause issues out there. Obviously, tree damage and power coming down with that is going to be a situation. And this is getting more stout. If you notice that this eastern line is very, very sharp right now, right? There's going to be a lot of wind being produced out of that as it pushes off to the east. So if you live on the eastern side of Orange County, from Belle Isle to Conway, Azalea Park, Union Park, eventually across the 417 towards Dean Road and Waterford Lakes and Alafaya and the UCF area, get prepared. If you have an opportunity to get the car indoors now, I would do it. Please be cautious of the lightning. But again, very intense thunderstorm is drifting your way. And I mean really, really slowly. This is the time of the night. It was right at the 7 o'clock hour where we had the tornado warning yesterday, right? Again, as these storms merge like this, the tornado threat is low, but it's not zero. So I have to continue to monitor the spin in the atmosphere as well. This is what we're seeing out of the Melbourne radar. If it got funky enough, I could switch over to the radar out of the MCO terminal Doppler radar, and we can look at that. The brighter colors are your stronger winds. Red means they're going away from the radar. Green means that they're going towards. What we're looking at are bright pixels of the different colors near each other. Right now, it looks like it's cooperating more straight line than anything else. But again, 60 mile an hour straight winds still going to cause you some problems. A little interesting up there, but the radar is also cutting through a lot. So not worldly concerned northeast of Sanford. But again, that's Lake Monroe, isn't it? Here's another situation. You can get these water spouts and these spin-ups over the lakes in this environment, right? It's a possibility that there could be some kind of broad rotation going over the lake, because when you get the friction difference as these storms with a lot of friction over land hitting the smooth waters of the lakes, and Lake Monroe, like Lake Apopka is one of the bigger ones, you know, St. John's River, you know, all of that, you absolutely can get the opportunity here for some kind of little squirrely water spout to get going. So we can see that there is some spin here, right? In accordance with an area of high reflectivity. By the way, Sanford is getting hammered right now as well. You're not under a special weather statement or a severe thunderstorm warning, and I gotta tell you, I'm a little shocked. Well, you might be under a special weather statement. I apologize. I did turn those off. Let me bring those back on. Okay, you are. I was gonna say, that would have shocking. So I turned those off so we could just look at the severe thunderstorm warning, but as you would expect, we've now just basically connected all the dominoes of the thunderstorms with special weather statements and or severe thunderstorm warnings. Look, don't be shocked if we start to get more severe thunderstorm warnings farther north as these things begin to line up. And once again, my friends along the coast, get prepared. This is slowly headed your way. All right? Again, a very, very similar scenario to yesterday with very isolated, non-severe storms out towards I-75 in western areas. And then it's just getting really rowdy from Metro Orlando and areas to the north. Ormond Beach getting some weather, yep. So 32 mile an hour winds in Daytona. A lot of lightning associated with those storms. US 1 A1A, Volusia County, Ormond Beach, Holly Hill, Daytona Beach, Ponce Inlet, Wilbur by the Sea, Port Orange. All of my friends there, even on over towards LPGA Boulevard and the airport, 32 mile an hour wind. Again, not severe, but gusty, heavy rainfall. To be clear again, severe thunderstorm criteria has nothing to do with the amount of rain or the lightning being produced. The only two criteria are the winds and the hail size. You got to have 60 mile an hour winds and or inch size hail. Then you got yourself a severe thunderstorm warning. Anything below that, the Weather Service office can issue what they call special weather statements. And that's generally for winds of at least 40 miles an hour and quarter inch size hail. But this is a really stout storm right now in Orange County. And again, let's check the track. We have a new track here from the algorithm. Really just slow movement, guys, 5 miles an hour. More expanding than anything else, but a little bit tracking off towards the east. Delaney Park, Baldwin Park, Goldenrod, Union Park, Conway, and Azalea Park. So from 652, which already happened, by the way, I want to be clear about that. Some of this can be prior, depending on where it started and where it is now. So just be clear about that. So you've got Union Park, 15 minutes from now, Conway, and then Azalea. And I can zoom in, and you can see that. Again, you've got Azalea Park at about 20 minutes. You've got Union Park at about 13. And here's Conway, and again, about 19 minutes. And that's just from the highest core. If you're just tuning in as well, we had a 56 mile an hour wind at the Executive Airport in downtown Orlando. So if you guys live anywhere near the Executive Airport, you know, Lake Eola area, Baldwin Park, Conway, let me know in the comment section below. Azalea Park, Union Park, you know, did you have any winds that caused any problems, right? Again, if it was trash day, that trash can might be a few houses down. But just look how this is all lined up, guys. Let's put this back into motion too. So there's your motion, very similar to yesterday. Storms, by the way, are beginning to creep farther west in Orange County. So it's beginning to fill in again. On the southwest side of that special weather statement, so Lake Buena Vista, Dr. Phillips, Lake Butler, Hamlin, Wintermere, Winter Garden, Oakland, Ocoee, Gotha, Metro West, all areas like that beginning to start to see some of that rain develop. Now you can see over the last, looks like 58 was the strongest, right? So it was reporting these specials for a while here. Yeah, 59. So 59 was the highest that it reported at 6:53. So right there. So that was a really intense storm that went right over Metro Orlando. Still, 20 minutes later, still showing a 35-mile-an-hour wind. That's a nasty storm coming through the east side of Orlando as we speak. Again, special weather statements abound through there. Rain is beginning to fall in Winter Garden. That's the live look outside for you right now. As I told you, the thunderstorms are back building west and southwest into Orange County. So if you look at the foreground, you can see some of those raindrops coming in. It's a gorgeous shot, isn't it? I mean, how pretty is that? You have this overshooting top of a thunderstorm right over Winter Garden, right? But in the background, you still have blue sky and some thin, high, wispy clouds, coupled vertical development clouds into Lake County. Nothing is going in Lake County as of yet. But again, is this a Florida shot or what, right? Where you've got the rain falling in the foreground and you got filtered sunshine in the background. But that's what's happening right now in Winter Garden. Raining pretty darn heavy right now in Lake Buena Vista. So that's a gully washer. That's a frog strangler coming into Lake Buena Vista. Not fantastic for our friends at the attractions right now. Asher says, no hail in Conway right now, but we just had a strike hit a tree nearby. Heard the tree explode. Okay. I'll check with our Conway cam in just a minute, but more than likely, we lost our Conway cam because we probably lost power there. I haven't gotten confirmation of that, but if Asheru is saying that, and again, winds were 60 miles an hour near the Conway area, so probably we lost that camera because of that. Ann asks, is there anything expected for DeLand? Absolutely, Ann. You're in the thick of these special weather statements with 40 to 50 mile an hour winds. There's a lot of areas that are going to experience that. And again, this rain is coming down pretty heavy right now over the attractions area. Look to Conway. I think we've just lost that camera for now with that storm that went through. Hopefully we'll be able to get it back up here at some point in time, but it's not shocking. And back over to Winter Garden. All right, so let me jump back on camera. First of all, appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks so much. Thanks for all of our new subscribers. You have a quick second. Thanks for hitting that like button for me right now. If you haven't subscribed, thank you for subscribing. Appreciate all of those who have found other ways to support the channel. The super thanks, the super chat, the super stickers are available. If you want to directly support me here in the channel, you can do that. Appreciate all of those who supported our channel with the live stream yesterday in that way. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing that. There are other ways to support the channel in the video description as well. So for those who have found ways to support CFLW in that manner, my heartfelt thanks, and appreciate those who have done that in previous live streams as well. Again, at this point in time, it looks like the Weather Service has dropped the severe thunderstorm warning for now. We'll see if they reissue it either here or for other areas of this line. But you basically have a line of storms from southwest Orange County to mainly the tip of Volusia County, all capable of producing winds of 50 miles an hour and some quarter-inch to half-inch size hail. It's not out of the question here over the next 30 minutes to an hour that we pulse up some of this activity and get ourselves an additional severe thunderstorm warning or two. Just going to reset the shot real quick, get those times of arrival back on with some of this activity. So again, I mean, look at all the lightning. Lightning count is healthy, about 150 lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes. And just like yesterday, this is all working its way off towards the east. Hi, Fiona. Thank you very much. You know I love you. Fiona is like an OG of this channel and the Media Mundo channel. She's a moderator on all the channels, and she's an awesome person. 999 super stickers. Thank you very much. Let's get the hearts out in the chat for our friend Fiona, moderator of the channel, just a super awesome human being. Amy as well, $5 stickers. Thank you so much, Amy, for that as well. Let's get the hearts out for Amy. We appreciate Amy and all of those finding ways to support the channel in that way. Again, helps pay the bills, and I appreciate that. And we continue to add on too. We are, vigorously looking to continue to add to our camera network and some other great things down the road as well. I'll share with you as they come about. But appreciate all of those supporting the channel in that way. It really means a lot. Really helps out more than you guys think. Let's get these winds back on here as well. All right, so Daytona Beach in at 26. Fair amount of lightning there, but again, special marine warning, but not a special weather statement. Speaking of DeLeon Springs, DeLand, trying to get out of your area, but any push of this is going to be exceptionally slow to occur, right? It's going to creep from I-4 towards 415 in the Osteen area. So if you live in Deltona, right? I mean, it's coming down. DeBerry as well. Lake Helen, slowly drifting towards Lake Ashby shores in the Osteen area. And we're just connecting these special weather statements. This is a nasty storm right over the airport there in Sanford. They haven't reported a wind gust yet, but I'll be monitoring that. Hi, Rhea. Thank you very much as well. I appreciate you. Big support of the channel as well. 999 super stickers. Thank you so much, Rhea. Let's get the hearts out in chat for Rhea as well. So again, I want to make sure that I thank all of those. Fiona, Amy, and Rhea, the three ladies. Thank you very much for that. I really do appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Therese. Yep, 2K followers here. We're growing fairly rapidly now, and we appreciate all the support. You know, whether you were subscriber number 1 or subscriber 2000, thank you so much. Remember, the channel is always free. If you want to help out, easy way to do it is like and subscribe. By doing so, you guys are basically telling YouTube, we like this channel. And then they will promote this channel to others who don't even know we exist, right? Just getting to people's home pages and letting people know that we exist is a big battle. But you guys interacting with the channel by liking, subscribing, and by commenting all helps out the grand old daddy algorithm on YouTube to get us a little bit more visibility. So thank you very much for doing all of that as well. Again, it actually helps out probably more than you even think. What about Melbourne? Okay, it's all coming that way, right? Again, just like yesterday, the storms have hit the coast earlier farther north, St. Augustine, Palm Coast, Daytona Beach. These storms are slowly meandering east, so they'll get deeper into Volusia County, New Smyrna Beach south as we get through this 7 o'clock hour, and then try and make a run into Brevard County again, same time frame that we had yesterday as well, right? So it's coming slowly, but more than likely, surely. We'll see if they all hold together like they did yesterday, but they're all clustered up. Just like yesterday evening, friends, these are not going to go away anytime soon. You know, it took hours for them to fully rain themselves out. The atmosphere is water loaded. There are countless boundaries which these storms are interacting with, producing new storms, producing very strong and severe storms as well. Checking in with this activity here. Again, still looking at the same areas. If you notice that the computer is still basically picking up on this axis of heavy rain, but it's not moving it far east right now. So Goldenrod, Azalea Park, Union Park areas I've mentioned many, many times, still back at it. The Executive Airport's winds actually freshened back up to 38 miles an hour. So it just kind of shows you that. Even here in southwest Orange County, towards 429, towards Winter Garden and Ocoee and Gotha, we picked up a little bit of lightning and activity here. So Windermere and Lake Butler, beautiful Lake Butler, Bay Hill, Dr. Phillips, Metro West, healthy rain over the Turnpike, right? Over places like OBT and JYP, back over to I-4 and areas west of I-4, including Dr. Phillips and Tangelo Park. Looks like the airport is right on the cusp, but has so far been spared for some of the worst weather there, no doubt about it. Hi, Nancy. $5 super stickers from Nancy as well. Let's give Nancy, a lot of hearts in chat as well. So appreciate all of that, Fiona, Amy, Rhea, and Nancy for their support. They got the fun super stickers out. Hopefully you ladies are enjoying the live stream. And again, I appreciate you guys supporting the channel in that way. Thank you so much for doing that. VG says it's rumbling and very dark in the Avalon area. Rhea says it is dying down a little bit. So hopefully that's the case. Again, the opportunity for these storms to continue to build and move or even build back west is absolutely still in. It's just a cluster right now, guys. I mean, look at all this. Again, it's hard to track most of this. We can track kind of the far eastern edge. That's about the best I can do for you here. And if we draw this out manually, kind of come down here like this, and we go out 5 miles an hour, right? UCF, University Park, 732, Avalon Park at 751, Biflo right on the edge of that. Biflo probably about 823. It's an hour away, right? At 5 miles an hour, it's crazy. Now, I do expect this to do two things. First of all, to pick up a little bit of forward speed as we get deeper into the 7 and 8 o'clock hour, one, and two, just kind of continue to build east, right? This will kind of propagate east and build east as well. And that is the East Coast sea breeze, that line. So you can get, just like we had yesterday, some storms also developing in Osceola and Polk counties as well. A little bit more lightning has picked up over Tampa. Keep an eye on my friends in Tampa always as well. Near University there, Temple Terrace, East Lake, north of the Mango area, north of downtown. A little bit of a pulse up, bit of lightning there, 4 strikes. Not expecting it to be severe, but it's not out of the question. Areas of flooding in Sanford. Have you guys gotten any of that reports? There is a flood advisory. Yes, so let me do this. It's a different product. It's going to take a half second for it to load. So as it's doing so, we can go look at our cameras. Winter Garden, very interesting, right? That storm was right overhead, and now it's kind of pushed back away. So right on kind of the cusp of the heavier rain in Winter Garden. I'll tell you what, it's interesting. If you live in the eastern side of Winter Garden, which the city proper is basically just north to south down to 429, you bump into Ocoee, it's going pretty good. The Disney area, still very heavy rainfall there, still very wet for Disney and the attractions. And I'm going to try this Conway one more time, but it's probably dead as a doornail at this point in time. All right, so mentioning the potential for flooding, let's look at that. Because we do have a flood advisory and what's also called a special weather statement. I want to double check this. Okay, so they let that expire. All right, so let's get the details on this. Let's bring up the flood advisory. So, a portion of east central Florida, including Orange and Seminole until 9:15. Minor flooding of low-lying and poor drainage areas. Ponding of water in urban or other areas is occurring or is imminent. Doppler radar has indicated 1 to 2.5 inches of rain with an additional 1.5 inches expected. So 2.5 to 4 inches of rain leading to minor flooding. And again, some of the areas located on your screen. I believe I can summarize that for you guys. It might be a little bit easier. Maybe not with this product. Oh, I think I actually can. I think I just have to hit the far left edge. Let's see. Might not be able to with a flood statement. All right, but you get the idea, right? There's a flood advisory till 9:15 for Orange and Seminole counties. There is another flood advisory for Flagler County as well till 9:30. They've had 2.5 to 4 inches of rain, hopefully not much more, but maybe another ½ inch. So 3 to 4.5 inches of rain there. And then again, these are special weather. So this product just takes these by county or by zones of counties, right? So that's why you see the full county colored in, but it's not all of Orange County. It's going to be the northern part of Orange County through most of Seminole County under that flood advisory. So yes, there is some minor flooding ongoing right now in those areas. And again, we still have our special weather statements as well. All right, let me do something real quick here. Go back over to the Disney area. Again, appreciate you guys taking a quick second and liking this, watching these storms. We'll see how nasty they get the remainder of the night. You know, they stayed severe thunderstorm criteria as they work their way into Volusia and Brevard. We'll see if we get that today. They're going to be noisy. You know, we're getting pockets of heavy rain and flooding in a couple of spots as well. You know, hopefully we hold them under severe thunderstorm criteria, but I think it's going to be close. You know, I think we're going to get winds of 50 plus miles an hour out of some of this activity and just a really wet evening. And again, some areas, you know, ponding on roads, localized flooding of low-lying areas. Hopefully nothing more than that, at least right now. But we've got a few more days of this, my friends, at least a few more days of it, to be quite honest. You know, there's an opportunity that if anything spins up tropically east of us, that we could continue with the opportunity for some heavier rain, potentially even all the way through the weekend. So, you know, a lot to talk about overall here in the grand scheme of things. All right, back over to the radar. Just resetting a couple things behind the scenes. So we do have a new special weather statement. That's one thing I was looking at as I grabbed my Publix Diet Green Tea from my Lean Law tumbler. You know, Bobby gave me this when we met. I had a sneaking suspicion he wanted me to use it on the streams. First of all, it's a very large vessel, which is what I need for these hours and hours live streams. But secondly, I mean, you know, it's got their beautiful logo on it too. He's a smart man. And a big friend of the channel as well. He's our sponsor. We appreciate him a lot. Donna still has the Ultimate Springs booming. How many lightning strikes have hit Stanford? Hard to tell, but I mean, I'll put it to you this way. In this view, in the last 15 minutes, we've had 84 strikes. So within that view, you know, and it's only going up. These are going to be really rowdy storms. And again, lightning is not a criteria for special weather statements. You got a Castle King? Jane Wayne says, the lightning last night in the Annie River was really scary. Hope for you as well. Not as well. Not the same as well. You got it. Just going back over the chat here real quick. And again, appreciate all of our friends with the super stickers and the super thanks and the super chat. That's really awesome of you guys. Let's reset the scenario here right at 7:30. I think that's a great idea. I'll go out to the larger perspective. Again, if you guys are just tuning in, appreciate you doing so. Thanks for joining me here on CFLW. We're live 7:30 on this Tuesday, tracking multiple areas of severe storms, special weather statements, and even a low-end tornado risk. Thankfully, it hasn't gotten squirrely like it did yesterday as these storms have developed, but the chance for a tornado, while low, is also not zero. So we have to just continue to monitor as these storms merge and they hit new outflow boundaries, and especially on the south flank of this activity, for there to be some rotation, just like we had yesterday. It was just after the 7 o'clock hour that we had our severe thunderstorm warning. And I promise you, this is a very rinse and repeat scenario from yesterday, where the storms are developing off of the sea breeze, being enhanced by a lot of lift in the atmosphere, being enhanced by numerous old outflow boundaries from previous storms, and all the activity we had yesterday will just aid in this development. So these storms have been severe. These storms currently are teetering on severe criteria. The new special weather statement is huge, moving again, drifting east at 3 miles an hour. Notice that the Weather Service has actually ramped up the hail size a little bit, back up to a half-inch size hail. So the previous special weather statements were for quarter-inch size hail. Now it's up to half-inch size hail. Orlando, Deltona, Sanford, Oviedo, Winter Springs still included. The leading edge of this, highlighted by that area right over Oviedo, drifting east. So when you have a 3 mile an hour wind forward speed, you don't go quickly, right? So Alafaya as we speak, UCF on the doorstep, University Park at 801, just some of the areas. Very heavy storms though, right over Oviedo right now. When you see that flashing, especially into the fuchsia and the neon blue, it's extensive heavy rainfall, potentially some embedded hail. Now again, my system has this probably higher hail size than what is actually out there, but it's being a little bit congested by some of the extremely heavy rain. But you can see that the product is showing you the hail potential in this area, right? And it looks like another hail core is possible right across the 528, 417 interchange, the beach line, 417 interchange, just north of MCO and Lake Nona. If nothing else, extensive heavy rainfall there. Another hail core north and east of Lake Monroe, right up 415 towards the Osteen area. That looks to be about it. Maybe some pea hail back towards Gotha and Windermere, but I would expect that to be very small. But just a ton of lightning. So in this view, 350 lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes. Make sure I bring on the wind gusts as well. And again, if you're just tuning in, the executive airport in downtown Orlando had a 59-mile-an-hour wind gust less than an hour ago. That's what prompted the severe thunderstorm warning for Orange County. 31 last check in Daytona Beach, rowdy storm. Not severe, but close to a special weather statement, that is. Just drop off the marine warning. We know that as these thunderstorms come offshore, the Weather Service will be issuing marine warnings for coastal waters. Again, this line is coming through. It's going to pick up a little bit of forward speed. And you can see, this is what I'm talking about. These are the things that always pique my interest in not a great way. You have to watch out for these little appendages on the south side of this complex of storms to get a little bit of turbulence with the winds. This all appears to be straight line right now. I like to see green and reds lining up like this and nothing extremely tight. A little bit of strong wind though right across the beach line just east of 417. And they went with a new severe thunderstorm warning. It was close. So again, they just issued a special weather statement, right? Now they've issued a severe thunderstorm warning. There has to be some kind of information that they've seen that has prompted them to get this elevated to a severe thunderstorm warning. It's just like the last one we saw. Something here has prompted the 60s. So let's drop the SPS and just look at this warning real quick. Could be MCO, could be the executive airport, could even be Sanford's airport that reported this. So let's find out. Wind threat is radar indicated. Hail threat is radar indicated. Okay. All right, let's do this one at a time. All right, so severe thunderstorm warning for Eastern Seminole, Southeast Orange, South Central Volusia until 8 o'clock. Severe thunderstorm located from Osteen to Lake Hart, moving east at 10, 60s and penny-sized hail. Orlando, Deltona, Sanford, Oviedo, Winter Springs, all included in that. Yeah, massive area, guys. You live anywhere from Deltona, Sanford, Oviedo, UCF, Alafaya, getting into Avalon Park right now in Bithlo, down towards Lake Nona and Medical City, all with the opportunity for some winds to push 60 miles an hour. It's all moving slowly off to the east, but that's a really sharp line right now on the east side of that, so it's holding together pretty well as it marches off towards the east. Again, tremendous amount of lightning. Just within this view in the last 15 minutes, 225 lightning strikes. And again, to be clear, this is not even all the lightning. I have taken down I filtered some of the lightning strikes because you can actually filter this by the energy each lightning strikes produces. I know it sounds crazy, but you can do that. If I were to have all of the lightning strikes on, it would probably be triple this, and we wouldn't be able to see any of the reflectivity. So it's truly amazing how much lightning is being produced out of the storms right now in Seminole County and into southern Volusia County. So Deltona to Berry, DeLand, on over towards Sanford, Lake Mary, Wekiva Springs, Winter Springs, Oviedo. Massive amounts of lightning. 120 lightning strikes in a very small view in the last 15 minutes. Laura says and confirms the wicked storm there in Deltona. Hi, Nonya. Lori Love is edge water in the path. Not with the severe thunderstorm, Lori, but more than likely going to get some activity into Edgewater, yes. But the most stout storm is south. Is Champions Gate going to get hit? Not with this activity. You had one come through already towards Champions Gate. Again, to be clear, anyone asking a question of, am I going to get hit or is storm coming my way? I can't rule out a thunderstorm redeveloping anywhere in Central Florida for the next couple of hours based on the juicy environment that's in play. The core of the storms will be from Orange County to Volusia County and moving east. We've had a few storms redevelop in Marion County. We've had one storm near Tampa and Hillsborough County, but these will generally be isolated and non-severe. But we can't rule out, as this East Coast sea breeze marches west, that's that green line that you see moving west, that it can't pop up a few more storms in Polk and Osceola counties, especially south of this area. And clearly what's happening is all of this activity is just feeding off of the sea breeze. So it is building right now down to St. Cloud, easy for me to say apparently, all the way towards Lake Wells. That's what's happening right now. All this activity is just feeding off of the sea breeze and that boundary. But the most intense part is right here. A lot of massive rain and lightning associated with that. You got it. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Renee says Palm Coast is pretty bad. There is a flood advisory, Renee. Renee, when you say Palm Coast is pretty bad, is it the amount of rain that you've had, or is it the lightning, or have you had any damage? Let me know. Hi, Sherry. Sherry says, I'm grateful for you creating this channel. I've been hoping for someone to guide us through the storms. My pleasure, Sherry. That's why we're here. And appreciate you taking a minute and tuning in and joining our great community. We have a great community here on CFLW. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to all of our new subscribers. Thanks for finding the channel. Thanks for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Thanks for those who have supported the channel. We get the super thanks, the super chat in the description below. All that helps out. Just to really appreciate our community. All right. I am going to take a very, very quick break. We'll leave you here with what camera do we want to look at real quick. Looks like the rain has ended in Disney. Conway hasn't come back up. All right. Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave you with the radar. And I'll leave you with the Winter Garden. I'll be back in a half second. Hi, friends. I'm back. Wilfredo says lots of rumbling here in Chuliota on 50. Water for lakes, heavy rain, lots of lightning, no hail, much cooler temperature. You got it. Thank you very much. Yeah, Conway has some power outages. That's probably why we lost that camera. We probably have a power outage there. Nasty storm over downtown Orlando. If you're just tuning in, 60-mile-an-hour winds in downtown. We have a severe thunderstorm warning, again, reissued. It's a really large one. Again, this is a huge cluster of storms. And I want to be clear, even outside of this activity, you're seeing a ton of lightning being produced. Lake Mary, Winter Springs, west of I-4 as well. You know, this is a nasty storm that has been situated over some areas of Orlando for nearly 2 hours now. That's why we have the flood advisory that's also into play. It is not going to shock me that we get 2 to 4 inches of rain in a lot of these areas, and potentially even higher than that as well. So, you know, the flooding threat comes along with the severe thunderstorm criteria, and we push 3/4 inch size hail. We are on the precipice of damaging hail size here. So, you know, car damage to your roofs, it's marginal with 3/4 inch size hail, but it's not out of the question. And again, just on where we have our sea breeze, the storms are building south. They're building right down the sea breeze line into St. Cloud. So the sea breeze is marching east to west, and the thunderstorms are developing along that. You can see that. Sea breeze is just slowly meandering west, and additional storms are developing. And again, even a redevelopment out in western Orange County. Looks like we've lost a little bit of the activity in Hillsborough County. Oop, sorry about that, a little too far. Get on back over here. Thunderstorm southeast Hillsborough County looks okay. That storm evaporated there. Manatee County. Thunderstorm. Heaviest part now is offshore of the northern side of Volusia County, Ormond Beach, Daytona Beach, Port Orange, but still heavy rain and gusty winds. Again, the numbers that you see are wind gusts in miles an hour. Additional storms are coming back at the Palm Coast, right up towards St. Augustine, at least some light to moderate rain there. Thunderstorms are trying to hold together in Marion County. They're spotty, but a fair amount of lightning there up towards the Williston area, just north of Ocala itself. And again, you know, southern side is sharpening up. Again, just so much more to come, guys. It's just the beginning in a lot of ways. Again, we still have our boundary draped across basically the southern sides of Georgia. And it's going to take a bit for all of this to move south. So you've got the boundary coming in, you've got our 40% tropical development area here along that boundary, and it's expected to push west or northwest, getting closer to us. And as it does so, it's going to feed in a lot of tropical moisture, and there's a very moisture-laden, wet sponge kind of environment over our head already. So still could see some strong and severe storms tomorrow, and then probably transition into a heavy rainfall threat beginning on Thursday, because by then I expect the rain to be developing in the morning hours with more overcast skies, lower afternoon temperatures, not as much heating of the day, more than likely not the higher end storms that we've been seeing the last 2 afternoons. But still a possibility, but more than likely beginning on Thursday, you're into more of a heavy rain threat than anything. Again, appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for finding ways to support the channel. Is Ocoee in the clear? Not necessarily, no. You know, more than likely not severe as far west as Ocoee, but you know, near Ocoee, dark skies, heavy rainfall, lightning, yes. In the clear as far as probably seeing the most stout activity, more than likely. If I could pull off being Matt Damon's stunt double, I wouldn't be here. But you know, as Matt Damon has gotten a little bit heavier over time, we could line it up. I did see that he's growing his beard out a bit now, so you know, not like Born Identity Matt Damon, but like maybe the next one. I would love if someone wants to send it away and say, hey, we've got a stunt double for you, I'd do it. So I appreciate that, Blue Devil. Any reference to Matt Damon's a good one. Amy says it's bad in every way in Metro West. Double A's getting some power blips here in Deltona. J-Man is by SeaWorld. He says it's cloudy over there. Look, most of Metro Orlando, especially our eastern areas, are getting hammered right now. Bottom line. Again, it's hard to track this. Your movement is slowly east, but there have been storms redeveloping west of this main area, right? So it's not as if I can say, hey, look, let this one part of this get by you, you'll be fine. There has been redevelopment, and will probably continue to be some redevelopment at least until sunset. And then just like yesterday, hopefully we start to, cap the highest intensity part of these storms and begin to wane it back down. But it could still be hours after that for all this activity to fully rain itself out. And again, new development farther south, right? Now, it's developing as the East Coast sea breeze moves in, but this will backbuild east. So as this develops south into Osceola County, now for areas of central and southern sides of Brevard County could be in store to get hit as this comes back east. That's kind of the newest activity that we're seeing. It's much more clustered up north. Generally speaking, in a general sense, the farther north that you go, I would expect there to be not as much in the way of a severe wind, but look at all of this lightning. Again, small area, 120 lightning strikes, and it's filtered. Just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. If I were to show you every single lightning strike here, it would be 290. That's the true number, right? But it's hard for me to do that because if I zoom out, you see we get so clustered with lightning. But to give you an idea of the actual lightning strikes, it's 1,300. Because it's picking up all the little charges here within all of this activity, right? And the size of the bolt that you see corresponds to the energy that's produced. It's a fantastic system. I love it. But, in this environment, there's so many lightning strikes here in Florida this time of the year, it's hard for me to show you all that. So I've filtered out about 2/3 of it. But true number of lightning strikes, 1,400-ish. By the way, as these are going up near MCO and Lake Nona, 600 lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes here. Dear Lord. Lori Love says lots of thunder in the Edgewater area as well. Aeromedic would like the seas to part and for these storms to move away. Yeah, they're nasty. They're nasty. Let me just check. Yeah, I think we've lost power there. I think we have lost power. All right. So you see why I don't show you all of the true lightning strike data. It overwhelms in the summer months here in Florida. So I'm going to bring it back down to that criteria. Yeah, Farrah, the lightning was absolutely nuts. Hi, Chessie. Good evening. Spring Hill in the house. Quiet evening in Spring Hill. Not the case here. Again, if you guys are just tuning in, several special weather statements. Got ourselves a severe thunderstorm warning. The tornado potential is low, but it's not zero. The Weather Service has shaved off a slight area of the severe thunderstorm warning north and west. We got to look off towards the east. We're getting close to be able to track this in to Brevard County. And I mentioned this last hour, forward speed should pick up a bit, right? Forward speed should pick up a little bit with this stuff. So now we're up to 12-mile-an-hour forward speed. So hopefully we'll get it out of here, quicker in some of these spots. 12 miles is still probably not going to get us, though, into most of Brevard County. Give it a shot. Yeah. Wedgefield 807, Mims 843. I mean, you're just sneaking into Brevard County. Now, forward speed could continue to increase as well. So that is a possibility. But, we'll mainly be, here's Wedgefield on the doorstep. It's a nasty part of the storm. We've already looked at all the lightning there across the beach line in 417 towards Lake Nona. Now they're about 13 minutes away from moving in. And again, this will count down to the very second into Wedgefield. Western side of Wedgefield, more like 6 minutes away. Lightning is already developing ahead of it. You don't want to be outside in Wedgefield. Highlands County, help me out, it's a little bit farther south. There's scattered storms, but not this cluster, no. Not that far south in Highland County. Stark looks okay near Stark. Bring in the composite radar just in case. Again, with everything moving east, I can't rule out a redeveloping storm up there near Keystone Heights and Stark, but not the nasty cluster of storms that's moving east away from Stark. So an isolated thunderstorm is still possible up there, but nothing that I would expect to be anywhere near what we're seeing a little bit farther south. Donna says a friend's flight from Mississippi to Orlando just got delayed due to storms. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some ground problems here. There is a ton of lightning. We've had the really strong winds, so departure and arrival delays absolutely expected both at MCO and at the Sanford Airport right now. Michael says Winter Springs, the power has been out for a while. We're going to, this is going to be one of those things, and then we're going to get more and more reports of this. And I appreciate Michael jumping in the chat and let us know. And if you had any of that, drop it in the comments section. Appreciate you guys interacting with me, but it also helps tell the story in your area. Now that we can jot that down and say, okay, we know we've had some power problems in Winter Springs. Renee saying the lightning is bad in her area as well. So, again, nasty storms. Just to check out the advisories again, I'm going to pop that back up. See what we got. So we still have a flood advisory. It's not the highest priority one, so I'm showing the severe thunderstorm warning. But the flood advisory still continues for Orange and Seminole till 9:15. Again, 1.5 to 2.5 with an additional 1.5 inches, so 2.5 to 4 overall. Orlando, Sanford, Apopka, Altamont Springs, Oviedo, Winter Springs, Winter Park, Castleberry, Maitland, Lake Mary, Longwood, Goldenrod, College Park, Lockhart, Azalea Park, Pine Hills, Lake Jessup, Conway, Oak Ridge, and Belle Isle all included. If you live east of I-4 in Orlando and into Seminole County, you're under the flood advisory. Flood advisory also in effect for Palm Coast and the greater Flagler County area. 2.5 to 4 inches of rain already, 3 to 4.5 overall. Palm Coast and Bunnell included in that. So those are the flood advisories that are into play. We don't have flash flood warnings, which would be up a notch from those, but you get the idea that we've had in some spots 3 to 4 inches of rain in ongoing heavy rain and storms. Now, they did issue a special weather statement to begin to account for the developing storms in Osceola County, down towards Harmony and Holopal there on 192, and of course our friends in St. Cloud. So the new one now goes all the way until 8:30, next 34 minutes. Again, thunderstorms moving east at 10, 50.5 inch size hail. So really close to severe thunderstorm criteria, but just below. But you notice now this does begin to sneak into Brevard County. We're going to again push the storms into Brevard County earlier the further north that you live. Hopefully these storms as we move through the 8 o'clock hour wane a little bit in intensity, but holding together for the most part at this point in time. Again, bring on our wind gusts. You have a lot of 30s at this point in time right now. From time to time, it's been obviously fresher than that. 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts at the Executive Airport earlier here. I think about 6:35-ish, so about an hour and 20 minutes ago. Amy has a power flicker in Metro West. Rhea says that thunder is beginning to redevelop. Yeah, look, you can't rule out the storms popping back up in your area here. You know, we've even drifted a little bit towards Metro West and Ocoee again. Mount Dora, Apopka, you know, has been kind of on the edge. Same scenario there for Mount Plymouth. It's not severe, but again, you know, noisy storms. But that's a really sharp line of activity. And as I've mentioned, you always kind of keep an eye on the wind gusts here on this southern flank. You know, what's happening with these winds? Are there any rotation? You get these little notches coming in. You know, can something try and spin up there? It's the same area that it was yesterday. Boy, that's crazy. But it's not tight. We don't have tight rotation there, but there is a little bit of a appendage sticking out right there with a little bit of broad spin. And on the southern flank of that, you have the potential for some hail that might try and drift back down to 192. I feel like you get one shot with this hail size product and then it poops out till I reset it. Hi, Phil and Sue. How you doing? Thanks so much. Lightning here in Oviedo, pounding rain. Somewhat to answer your question, Angela, about the system in the Atlantic, it's all one large scale system where you could get one area that develops tropically, but overhead there is what we call a trough or a lot of mid and upper level energy support to enhance the sea breeze activity that we're seeing, to enhance the old outflow boundaries from all these storms. It's a very convoluted forecast, but the bottom line is that we have rich, deep tropical moisture, a lot of lift in the atmosphere, and a lot of boundaries to play these storms off of. And when they develop, they just absolutely get going. Does look like they've allowed the severe thunderstorm warning to expire at 8 o'clock. Great to hear. The special weather statement is a very large one. Look, north of there, you're going to get some rain and storms, Edgewater, New Smyrna Beach, Ponce Inlet, Port Orange, Daytona Beach, and DeLand, right? Rain, a lot of lightning. Again, lightning's not a criteria for severe thunderstorm warning. Heavy rain falling right now in Lake Mary. 24-mile-an-hour wind at the airport, but that's okay. But you guys are just in it. I mean, dark, dark sky. By the way, the other thing I want to mention is if there were to be any rotation with this, you'd never see it. These are high precipitation thunderstorms. You'd never see it. Now, I never like to see this. I never like to see a little appendage stick itself out here. You get certainly winds could be pushing this out, right? These could be downburst winds. I don't like that this is picked up in intensity with reflectivity, but you can get downburst winds with these storms. These storms are so moisture laden, they can produce what we call moist downbursts, and it can push out the winds of a storm very quickly, right? So this doesn't necessarily mean there's rotation within this. This can be straight line downburst winds, but some mechanism in the atmosphere has pushed out this part of the storm, right? It does look like it is straight line, more of a downburst environment right now rather than actual low-level rotation. It does, again, also be, it's in a rural area, thankfully, because that's probably 50 to 60 mile an hour downburst winds, wet downburst coming out of that. A little bit of wind shear, nothing too significant. Just, there's a lot of shear along that line, but nothing's too tight right now. But it bears watching, right? This, and I don't know why. Come on now. All right, I'll have to reset this in a second. I don't know why I did that. But But yeah, a couple of areas to monitor there for sure. All right. Let's go back to our cameras real quick. I just need to reset something in the background. What a gorgeous shot. I mean, is that like Florida to a T, by the way? You know, low-hanging clouds, opportunity for a couple of showers, bright blue sky on the top of your screen, and then sunset on the horizon. It's like a painting. It's like a freaking painting. Oh my goodness. What a beautiful shot. Yes, Amy, I've been around for a while. I feel like I'm 29. No, I don't even feel like I'm 29. I can't lie about that. I've got a 12 and a 10-year-old. I feel like I'm 95. Dr. Plow, that's the Rust man. That's me? Question mark? Sure. You can call me the Rust man. In relation to the heat or smoke from the fires, volcanic eruptions? Nope, none. Clipped it, I would expect isolated thunderstorms, but nothing more than that up in the Citra area. Conway is still dead. The rain moving out of the attractions area. All right, we should be good to go back over on the weather computer here. Tricia says Central Florida. Central Florida, you found the right place. I think that's all we've been talking about on this channel so far today, I believe, right? I'm playing with you. I get it. Look, it's Pine Hills is getting hammered. Not a severe storm, but winds that will probably freshen to 30, 40 miles an hour. Look, even over Pine Hills right now, my computer has the opportunity for some small hail. There could be some pea-sized hail, Pine Hills up towards Lockhart, you know, as you take JYP up towards Silver Star, places like that, on over towards Lee Road. That area, very, very concentrated, strong thunderstorm. Again, not severe, but a lot of lightning, gusty winds, and then some extremely heavy rainfall. Again, this part of the storm is really sharpening up, and it is beginning to build back off towards the east. So if you live in Brevard County, we'll get you prepared and situated with that. Stronger storm coming back into the northern side of Brevard County at the hour as well. That part of it just misses Mims. Just misses Mims. Again, appreciate you guys jumping in the chat. Thank you so much for that. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for taking a quick second and liking the live stream and subscribing. Appreciate our moderators. Keep an eye on the chat. As always, you want to help to support the channel, you can do so via the super thanks, the super chat, the super stickers. Some of the ladies earlier did that as well. And again, you know, direct support of the channel in that way is important and very, very much appreciated. So watching that leading edge right now, again, it's beginning at the 8 o'clock hour to pick up a little bit of forward speed. So we've got Avalon Park right now, Bithlo 818, Harmony 831, and the Wedgefield area at 845. And that goes from Osceola County all the way up in the southern sides of Volusia County as well. So just up and down that line, very, very slow movement, but trying to eke it in. And again, you know, Avalon Park getting hit right now. Same thing for Bithlo. Wedgefield, it's on the way. The special weather statement, it's so slow to arrive though, but trying to just get into that area. Still extremely heavy rainfall east of Lake Nona, Narcoossee area, south of the beach line. You know, more and more is being developed in that area. We've got the Brightline train that runs along there, but you know, still relatively rural areas here when you get south of the beach line. But then you sneak back into Osceola County, into St. Cloud and Harmony, and now you're back into some populated areas where that is extremely heavy rainfall, some lightning with that, but continuing to just develop. And this is all trying to connect in with Other spots back down to more southern Osceola and southeast side of Polk County, excuse me, east of Lake Wales, where that's all feeding into this as well. So, this is kind of the newer development. As I've mentioned out west, it's very spotty. There's a couple of storms that are trying to rain themselves out right now over the Ocala area. It's a little bit more stout east side of Ocala towards Silver Springs area, just north and east of Bellevue. A decent storm, not severe, a little bit of gusty wind, 20-mile-an-hour wind in Ocala, but nothing outrageous. But these are noisy storms, as you would expect. And as I've mentioned, special marine warnings will continue to be issued as these thunderstorms get closer to the coast and begin to move offshore. So, all areas, we've had that earlier today from St. Augustine, and now just following these storms back down into Brevard County. So special marine warnings mainly for winds of over 34 knots. Going to drop off that special marine warning, just a little bit easier to see everything else. Aeromedic says the sky is red in Edgewater. Boy, imagine it is. Hi, Linda. How are you doing? Linda, in many ways, it is a repeat of yesterday. Yes, with the structure of the storms, with their development and movement, and with their hazard potential. Again, 60+ mile-an-hour winds, half-inch to three-quarter-inch size hail are the main threats, but we can't rule out the possibility for an isolated tornado. Even now at 8 o'clock, it is a non-zero chance. It's a very low chance, but it's non-zero. So we have to monitor that situation. See if we have any local storm reports real quick. So we have 2. Let's check those out. We have a hail one. So this icon represents a hail local storm report. So here we go. Broadcast media relayed a report of dime-sized hail in Castleberry on Cinnamon Circle. So dime hail is between half-inch and your nickel, your 0.88, so 0.7-inch hail. Again, that gets you right on the precipice of damaging hail potential. More than likely not causing any extensive damage to roofs and cars when you have 0.7-inch size hail or dime size hail, but it's close. You get to nickel just a little bit more, 0.88, and you do. And again, your 59-mile-an-hour wind gust at the executive airport at 6:47. So, embedded within all of this, we had dime hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds. Just zooming out to see if there's any other local storm reports here. But again, that helps tell the story as well. Yeah, Linda, this activity in a general sense is. And again, just a ton of lightning here in Orlando. Absolutely still getting hammered. Trying to hold together. We'll see what happens. It's a little bit behind yesterday, so we can watch and see how much this holds together. No severe thunderstorm warning with this, but a special weather statement. And again, this is going to be one of those storms, clusters that lingers. It's going to linger. It's going to take hours for it to fully rain out. We're going to lose, hopefully, the opportunity for this to pulse up and be anything too strong shortly. Cross your fingers through this 8 o'clock hour. But to get rid of all the rain and lightning in your area, it's going to take a while, deep into this evening, if not even overnight. Now, we do have a new special weather statement for that storm in Ocala, just east of Ocala downtown. So that's what it looks like here. Strong thunderstorm west of Lynn, moving southeast at 10, 40 to 50s. Lynn and Silver Spring shores. So kind of the far eastern sides of Ocala, and this will try and drift into a little bit more rural areas east of Bellevue and the villages east of 441. Still some populated zones though. Again, I've got street level mapping, and you can see the clusters of streets here potentially embedded within this activity and could have winds of up to 50 miles an hour. So as I've mentioned, out west, more isolated, but still as strong a storm as possible over the next hour or two. The coming day says they're in North Titusville, winds picking up, dark clouds starting to get there. Steve, everything is moving generally east. It could back build a little bit west and be almost stationary, but in a general overall sense, everything is meandering east. It is picking up a little bit of forward speed at the hour, right? Picking up a little bit of forward speed, but not much. Just, maybe if we can get to that 10 to 12 mile an hour range, we can get some of this activity out of Orange and several counties. Still going to take a little bit of a while, but the last couple of special weather statements, and from what my computer has been seeing as well, is we're seeing a little bit in the way of more forward momentum east, which is good because we need to clear out the flood threat. So this newest special weather statement is east at 8. We'll take it because it was 3 miles an hour earlier or even stationary. Again, appreciate you guys jumping into the chat. Hi, Linda, how are you? Good to see you as well. Hey, Michael, how are you, man? I'm here. It is the wave of the future, man. Come join the channel. I got you covered here. By the way, if you're interested in the Caribbean and the Bahamas, I have another channel called Media Mundo. Over 53 or 4,000 subscribers. Great community over there. If you want to follow what's happening in the Caribbean and the Bahamas, you'll find links to that channel. Even have a third channel called Weather Express. It's a newer channel, but I do a 5-minute daily forecast across all of the United States, basically to cover everyone, but in a 5-minute, very condensed forecast. If you want to check out those channels and subscribe to those, I appreciate the support in that way as well. And obviously appreciate the support here on CFLW as well. All right, let's go back to our cameras real quick. And again, we're getting into that point in time where, yesterday I think we still have enough daylight where we're going to see, we haven't lost and gone to the night vision. Just an interesting, I wish someone would take some of these screenshots and paint these pictures. I'm certainly not good enough to do so, but we have had just a tremendous view from Winter Garden. And again, this is looking west, so we're looking away from the storms. I get that we're not looking into the storms. Now, here's a fresh breeze in Winter Garden. You can see that the palm tree at the bottom of your screen. By the way, all of the cities that you see at the bottom of your screen, that's updating in real time with your current temperature and conditions. So we have that scrolling at the bottom for your convenience. And again, blue sky out west. Disney is getting better. Still can't rule out an isolated redevelopment or a low-end chance for the redevelopment of a shower or storm near Lake Buena Vista and I Drive. But generally speaking, I'm hoping things will be quieter as we get towards fireworks time here. But we've had some hefty downpours in that area. Nice storm moved through Lake Buena Vista, but hopefully quiet for the remainder of the evening there. And I'm always just going to check Conway, which is down. And again, the Conway area, as that severe storm went through, did have some power problems. So I believe we've lost that camera due to a power and or internet outage in Conway. But they got raked pretty good. And some of you in the chat who live in Conway, appreciate you jumping in the chat and letting me know. Talking about Brevard County, now kind of on the precipice, southern Volusia County, Oak Hill area. Again, could there be some pea-sized hail still being produced? Absolutely. We had the dime-sized hail earlier in Castleberry. Mims on the doorstep. Nice storm over Chuliota, now east of UCF, racing towards Titusville and Indian River City. Port St. John would be next up. And again, that line just continues to build farther and farther off towards the south. So Harmony and Holopaw will get raked in as well. Solid lightning still over Metro Orlando. It's not severe, right? But again, 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts from time to time and torrential rainfall. 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts from time to time, torrential rainfall, and just noisy storms. I mean, a crap ton of lightning coming out of this. And by the way, that is a technical term. Crap ton of lightning. You can look it up in any meteorology book you want to. Yeah, Amy, they really have been awesome. Reyes says quieting down a little bit for right now. Gina starting to hear that big thunder booms in the villages. Yeah, Gina, if you look from a window north, you'll see that special weather statement thunderstorm trying to drift closer to your area. Let me track this out for you guys a little bit. We're getting close enough now where we can do a track. Let me just double check what the Weather Service has as forward speed. East at 10. I'm going to go east at 10. All right. I'm asking it to do something and it's not doing it. All right. Just so you guys don't see a blank screen for a half second, I'll just bring back up Winter Garden. First of all, it's gorgeous enough anyway. Lori still says Edgewater has the vivid lightning. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be gusty winds. There's no doubt about it. And again, what a shot here. Let me get myself off camera. Look at that. By the way, that cloud is moving from north to south. That shows you the kind of broader spin in the atmosphere. Oh, I'm really glad we accidentally got to look at this together, guys. Look at that puppy just drifting right over. And you can see the winds are actually blowing towards the camera. That's a northwest wind coming in behind everything. Ah, it's so awesomely eerie looking, isn't it? Not a drop of rain. Looks like a flash of lightning almost reflected out east. That's a cool shot, isn't it? Really low base to that cloud structure too. I mean, maybe a couple 100 feet off the ground, that's it. I don't see an appendage. I'm not worried about spinning up a tornado out of any of that, but it just shows you the instability in the energy in the atmosphere. As all these other storms are pushing east, this cloud coverage is kind of pushing south and west. That's wild. Awesome looking. Yeah, let's get the thumbs up in the chat just for that. If you guys are weather weenies like I am, that's an interesting live view that we have right now. Again, non-threatening. I'm not concerned if you live in Winter Garden that this is going to do anything squirrely, but just a really neat shot. And again, you can see it already breaking apart a little bit as well. Yeah, pretty decent wind. It's like 25, 30. It's not outrageous. Alice is in Kissimmee saying it's starting to look really bad. Thank you, Alice, for that report. Yeah, a lot of fresh winds overall, no doubt about it. All right. Keep an eye on that shot, but just really congested, right? It's like a highway out there, and at all levels of the atmosphere, you've got some lift, you've got some broad rotation, you've got every ingredient that will continue to keep us quite active here. Now, what I wanted to do, and I'm going to beg the computer to cooperate, is give you guys a manual track of these storms that are beginning to eke into Brevard County. So let's try this out again. We'll start with this part of the line, and we'll go east at 10. Again, we're not getting to most areas with a 10-mile-an-hour forward speed yet, but some. Basically north to south. So MEMS 843, about 20 minutes away. If you live closer to the I-95 corridor, it's more like 12 and a half minutes away, right? So MEMS 842. Titusville coming in at 902. You can see that counting down. Closer to the I-95 corridor of Titusville would be about 848 or in 25 minutes. Indian River City, about 909. And again, I-95 corridor, about 853, so about a half hour away. They might be a little bit earlier than that if these storms can kind of pick up a little bit more forward speed and move a little bit quicker off to the east. Just like yesterday, that's exactly what we had. Eventually, the forward speed with this activity picked up a little bit as we hit sunset and moved away quicker into Brevard County. They've extended, by the way, the special weather statement a little bit farther south in Osceola County, but you know, Kissimmee, especially St. Cloud, Harmony, Holopaw, you know, that's an area where we've had an uptick in activity in the last half hour, where most areas have either held steady or have actually come down a little bit. What's interesting is the lightning has actually gotten more intense here. Bring on the live lightning count here again for you guys. There it is. Every so often I can pick up and drag that thing and I can't see it, but that's solid lightning redeveloping over Apopka, northern sides of Ocoee. So, you know, was it Conway, Apopka out there? And then obviously the 414 getting into Maitland, Lockhart, South Apopka, Plant Road. Places like that, Winter Garden and Ocoee. So again, fair amount of lightning picking up in those spots. We'll see what the Weather Service wants to do with this special weather statement. It is going to expire at 8:30, right? It does look like for the most part it's holding together. I'm not sure if it's going to keep special weather statement criteria. Potentially they might cut off the northern part of this and extend the special weather statement kind of from central and southern sides of Orange County into Osceola County. That looks to be the most stout part of the activity still, as it still tries to hold together and move back off into Brevard County. Could be coming down a little bit right now as it gets closer to Titusville, Mims, and Oak Hill. I like the trend that I'm seeing there. If you notice that there's not a ton of lightning associated with this activity as it gets to the coastal sections of southern Volusia and far northern sides of Brevard County. So that's good news. But a kind of re-energy pulse back up of some of the storms right over downtown Orlando. Hi, Dee. How you doing? Hope you're well. Bombo says winds picking back up in Claremont. Yep. Look, we've made it far enough west now, right? These storms are building back over Lake Apopka and into Montverde. We talked about that scenario as a potential. Not going to be severe, but just an expansion of all of this even farther west. Still monitoring this special weather statement, by the way. You know, Bellevue is getting scraped. Silver Spring Shores. We'll see if it holds together, trying to get closer to the villages. Again, if you look to the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you can really see some lower clouds there, man. That's a cool shot. Let me do this. I'm going to take, my mic is going to get muted, but let's look at those clouds at the bottom of the screen together, okay? You can just see those little feeder clouds coming in, and they're literally scraping the lake. And there is some lightning on the east behind this camera, which is literally being reflected off of the clouds that you guys are seeing right now. I think when I do this, my nameplate stays on, so I have to manually drop it off. So apologize for that. It's a cool shot. And as Bobo mentioned, some of the storms just north of that camera building up a little bit again. Again, lightning is flashing behind this camera, but you're actually getting the reflection of that off of these clouds. So kind of a cool picture there too. Stevie says they're getting nailed at Apopka right now, so there you go, right? Storms have worked their way all the way into the northwestern side of Orange County. No rotation. No rotation right now. Melbourne, Palm Bay, it's close, Johnny Mac. It's close. The farther south that you are in Brevard County, a little bit better, but you could be in the path if those storms, which are a little bit farther south, hold together long enough to work their way all the way to the coast. Not a guarantee, but it is a possibility. Kind of watch the trend kind of situation here. So again, when you get this far south towards Palm Bay, right, that's where you said you were, Palm Bay, Melbourne, Palm Bay, yeah. You know, these are much farther away from getting into I-95 and east compared to northern Brevard County at this point in time. Where, again, the trend has been for it to come down a little bit as far as lightning goes. So I feel pretty good about not a large, there being any issues with the storms coming through Mims and Titusville right now. Some gusty winds, some heavier rainfall. The lightning is coming down a little bit too. So I'm not worried about the impacts for places like Mims and Titusville at this point in time. So now we wait and see what the Weather Service wants to do with all this junk, right? You know, is the activity warranted for severe thunderstorm, for special weather statement criteria or not? I mind you, the most interesting part of all of this in the last half hour has been this stuff has re-energized and has gotten stronger again. And it's just not moving. Downtown, Winter Park, Altamont Springs, Ocoee, Maitland, South Apopka, even feeding in towards Montverde now on the west side of Lake Apopka. Ocoee and Oakland included in that as well. Just kind of a crop back up of that stuff. Again, in general, we're trying to nudge everything east, but there's very weak steering currents. So kind of a mushrooming out or even further development west is not out of the question. How is Alafaya? I mean, overall, the Orlando area is okay. All right. Still could see some hefty storms. At this point in time, the tornado threat is very low. All right. It's still not zero, but it's very low. I thought if we were going to have the tornado threat, and the Weather Service was mentioning this earlier as well, it would be as these sea breeze collisions occurred, as they hit the old outflow boundaries from yesterday, and before they really lined up fully. All right. They're beginning to become one large area of storms. And so typically you don't have a large tornado threat with that, right? Still on this southeast side where these storms continue to develop, this is probably the area I would still be monitoring, right? But everything has been cooperating and everything has been more straight line winds being produced out of. This is the most stout part of this activity right now that is feeding back towards 192 and Harmony and Holopaw. Still could see a little bit of rotation on the leading edge of that, but I haven't noted it in the short term. We saw a couple of areas earlier in the night, but nothing ever got tight, which is great. And again, the threat was always low, but it wasn't zero either. Just want to bring back on our surface winds. And we'll drop off the marine, and we did. Again, everything's kind of east to southeast. So that particular cell looks like it's moving a little bit more east, clipped it. Alan says, calming down in Orange City, still hearing thunder towards Deltona and Sanford. You got it, Stevie Cakes. Yep, noisy evening. I like the fact that at 8:30, we have no severe thunderstorm warnings. That's a check mark in our favor. I like the fact that the Weather Service has not reissued a special weather statement for a majority of this large cluster of storms that still is impacting coastal Volusia County all the way back down into southern Osceola and Polk counties, right? So it's good to see that we don't have enough wind or hail size to warrant a special weather statement. It doesn't mean that the storms still aren't impactful. Doesn't mean that the storms aren't noisy as all get out. The lightning count is still tremendous. These storms are rumbling up something special. Still doesn't mean that there's not going to be a flood threat as well. But we don't have the larger scale at this point in time severe thunderstorm potential. And as we get deeper into the 8 o'clock hour and beyond, I would expect that trend to generally continue to come down. Still can't rule out, right, segments of this larger area becoming strong enough to warrant another special weather statement. It's not out of the question. But typically you get the storms out by themselves. Like this is out by itself right now. Special weather statement in that. This storm in Ocala is all out by itself. Special weather statement here for winds of 50 miles an hour, right? But there's not anything that's extremely organized embedded within anything else. And again, appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for hitting that like button and subscribing. Again, doing that and interacting with me all helps to support the channel because it increases the interaction. YouTube loves that. If you guys are liking and subscribing, you're jumping in the chat saying hi, letting us know what's going on weather-wise, they think you like the channel enough that they're going to recommend it to people who don't even know we exist. So I appreciate all of that. The other thing is that obviously jumping in the chat and letting me know what's going on in your area is a great way for me to keep an eye out for areas of interest and really what's been happening. And again, earlier, we had dime-sized hail in Castleberry, right? That was at 6:43. And about that same time, at 6:47, we had the 59-mile-an-hour wind at the Executive Airport in downtown Orlando. So we had severe thunderstorm over downtown, dime-sized hail up towards Castleberry, and a lot of power outages, sporadically at least, in this area. Still about 100 lightning strikes in this spot. It's coming down a little bit. Things are trying to cooperate for the most part right now. You know, I would expect, again, it to be hours before the rain fully subsides, before the thunder and the lightning fully get out of here. But I like the fact that things are looking a little bit more disorganized right now, right? It's not a bad trend. Still going to expect some intense rain and lightning back into Indian River City, Port St. John, Sharps. You know, still a pocket of a little bit more intense weather, but now we're into southeast Orange County, into a relatively rural area. So it's not a bad spot to have some of the most intense weather at this point in time. Again, this is absolutely building north and west. Now places like Montverde and Mount Plymouth, and now Apopka for sure. I mean, it's right over Apopka. And even a little bit of activity towards Yahala too. Again, it's not going to be severe. But to pick up additional rain in this area, leading edge of that, fair amount of lightning. What's interesting is there's more lightning now here than there is with this segment getting into northern Brevard County by a large margin, by the way. Let's check out our, hey Jason, how you doing, man? Jason says Longwood calming down, but I don't like what's west of me. Well, I hear you. That should, though, hopefully kind of stay west and then die out. It's almost kind of propagating west or building west, but I don't know if it's going to have a lot of movement. It should probably just rain itself out from here. Thank you, Donna. I appreciate it. My throat is not appreciating the hard work. I talk a lot this time of the year, and it's only early August. So I really have to stay quiet in times that I'm not on. And my wife is not in town right now. And the 10 and the 12-year-old are downstairs. There's been a lot of parenting going on this week. So I've had to talk a lot. And at the end of the summer, you know how 12 and 10-year-olds act. It's not fantastic. They're good kids. I love them. But again, the old single parenting thing, it can get interesting. No doubt about it. Yeah, so Jason, these storms are almost kind of just developing west. There's not really a lot of movement with them at this point in time. This is the loop over the last half hour. That is a half-hour loop. There's not much. Kind of just sitting over that area. Should just kind of rain itself out. I'm not expecting it to move much as it does. Real quickly, since the activities come down just a little bit here. Let me do this. I want to show you guys the HER model over the next couple of days. Okay? So we can kind of talk about what the setup could be like between now and I think this takes us out to Friday morning. That's it. With this trough boundary getting even closer to us and draping itself over Central Florida, multiple rounds of additional storms are likely in the coming days. Tomorrow, I do expect it to be a similar scenario to today, but the East Coast sea breeze should be activated a little bit earlier, right? So if you live along our East Coast, you have an opportunity to see a passing shower or storm a little bit earlier in the day. Now, generally speaking, we're still going to be looking at storms to fire up in the afternoon hours and once again, begin to line up over I-4, potentially a little bit farther west. So a little bit farther west than what we've been seeing into Hillsborough, maybe even Manatee, Sarasota, and Polk, and Lake, and Sumter, and Marion counties. Slightly better chance tomorrow, right? But still widespread, strong to potentially severe storms. Beginning on Thursday, the rain moves in early enough where we could actually have relatively overcast skies to start the day, and you transition more into a potential heavy rain event than actually seeing severe storms later in the day. You get the overcast skies, you get not as much heat energy, you don't have the higher rain and storm chance. This will continue to be an interesting area. I think it's still going to take days before we see what ultimately happens out of this area. But again, if nothing else, it's trying to push back north and west or west closer to us. It's going to have some impacts between that trough line and this potential development area from the Hurricane Center trying to spin up at least a mid-level low, if not a low-level low. There's going to be an abundant amount of tropical moisture and lift in the atmosphere to produce the opportunity for more storms tomorrow and potentially heavier rainfall Thursday, Friday, and maybe even into portions of the weekend. It's an extremely active forecast for us here in Central Florida in the coming days. Susan, if you like that wide view, you can tell them about my Weather Express channel. If you guys go to the homepage of CFLW, or even I think there's links somewhere in this video description somewhere where I do what's called, the channel's called Weather Express. It's a 5-minute daily forecast across all the United States. So this channel will focus in on Central Florida weather. My Weather Express channel will do a quick 5-minute forecast across the country. And my Media Mundo channel covers the Caribbean and the Bahamas. So if you have interest in the Caribbean, the Bahamas, or you just want a deeper dive look into what's happening across all the tropics, the Atlantic, the Caribbean, and the Gulf, that's what that channel does. Justin says his power is out. Justin, where are you, my friend? Alfred, not much has been happening in northern Brevard County. It's beginning to rain and storm a bit, but it's also doing pretty good. At this point in time, I'm not expecting a spin up. That scenario more than likely would have already occurred. Now, again, can you get a little something squirrely as it crosses over the Banana and Indian rivers, where you get the friction difference and a water spout or some kind of rotation could form? Yes, but I'm not expecting it to be a scenario where it's a likelihood. I'll put it to you that way. So this looks a little bit more behaved as well. So the special weather statement in Marion County is going to, darn it. They only went for 15 minutes. They're holding on to the last gasp of that storm. So it's gonna try and sneak through Bellevue, maybe the northern side of the Villages. Although the Villages isn't included in the actual special weather statement. So the Weather Service is like, you know what? It's just teetering with winds of 40 miles an hour. We're just going to extend it for 15 minutes. Not a lot, but we're going to go for 15 more minutes. Again, the main part of that does miss 441 east. Winds of 40. And they've even allowed this to expire as well. So the trends are our friend. The trend is our friend. I like what I'm seeing as far as any real threat for severe storms. Now, still some gusty winds. 10 minutes ago, we had in Titusville area, we had a 38-mile-an-hour wind gust. Solid wind, right? Not even reaching the special weather statement 40-mile-an-hour wind criteria, but close. So it's not out of the question that we get a special weather statement, Titusville, Indian River City, Port St. John. Probably not though. But again, impactful heavy rainstorms and lightning, absolutely. It is breaking apart a bit now from the downtown Orlando area south. So Oak Ridge and Meadow Woods and Lake Buena Vista, Windermere, Bay Hill, Metro West, improving conditions for you guys. Still a lot of lightning up towards Apopka, Wekiva Springs, Lockhart area. Justin's in Pine Hills. All right, so he's lost power near downtown Orlando. Yeah, hopefully that comes back on. I don't think you're the only one, Justin. We've had reports of other power outages in and around Metro Orlando from the storms that came through earlier as well. Let's check our cameras out again. Back over to that Winter Garden camera. Again, another cool shot. For anyone who's a painter of landscapes, we've had some stills for you guys to take. Again, sunset occurring as we speak, just passed. A little bit of vertical development, close, but not a drop of rain. But a neat shot there in Winter Garden. The Disney area, we've now lost enough daylight there where we're into our night vision mode. But actually this time of the evening makes it a little bit easier to see. Now still overcast skies in the attractions area, still some lightning in the vicinity. You can see the streaks there. So, you know, again, not a storm over the attractions per se, but when thunder roars, you head indoors. I would generally expect that area to improve through the 9 o'clock hour. And so as we get to the fireworks time, I think things are looking pretty good. Alfred says it's very breezy. Just going back through the chat real quick here. All right. Jump back over to the live radar. Again, just resetting a couple things behind the scenes, but keeping an eye out. So special marine state warning, you would expect that with winds that could get up to around 40 miles an hour, right? They're always going to issue that early and give any mariners a heads up well ahead of the actual storms coming through. Otherwise, at this point in time, we actually don't have any special weather statements with any of the activity around this area. And your one special weather statement goes for another 11 minutes for Bellevue on over towards places like Lady Lake and the Villages. It's raining itself out though. If I zoom in close enough, there's not even any lightning with it. This is a storm that is coming down in intensity, right? Still a little bit more redevelopment in Alachua County, but it's nothing significant. Showers have back-built their way into northern Lake County, towards Leesburg and Yahala, but again, spotty in nature, but noisy storms. Let's check out the lightning count here. It's come down pretty significantly in the last 10 minutes. Lightning count coming down. You know, we were around 45 lightning strikes in this view about 15, 20 minutes ago. So we are beginning to see that come down a bit. Strongest winds that we've had, 40 at Titusville. So I want to be clear for my friends in Brevard County. Look, heavy rain, fair amount of lightning, some gusty winds. Now that we're hitting the 9 o'clock hour, very low opportunity that these pulse back up, right? We've lost the heat of the day. The East Coast sea breeze is well inland. Additional boundaries are likely not to develop off of this. So I think we're looking all right as far as, you know, the chance for these to become strong enough to produce any kind of damage or anything that's going to be really impactful. That's great news. It's a good cluster of storms south of Harmony as well. And again, some of this could eke its way into the northern sides of Orange County and into Lake County, but the trend has certainly been our friend here over the last 15 minutes or so. Generally speaking, for Deltona, you could still get clipped by the rain to your south, but everything in a general sense is coming down in intensity overall. Like if I zoom into this area, we're down to 20 lightning strikes, still some. Now again, this is filtered lightning, there's more than that, but in the general sense, these are beginning to come down in intensity. We know the rain is going to last for a few more hours. It's going to take a while for all of this to rain itself out. But again, intense-wise, not a lot. Hey, William, how you doing? They were impressive earlier, William, back in Metro Orlando, but for Brevard County, they are breaking apart as they're getting in, right? We can handle all of this in Titusville, in Indian River City, Port St. John, Sharps, Cocoa Rockledge. We can handle any of that activity. You know, 40-mile-an-hour wind, gusty, but nothing outrageous. So downpours coming back in, could still be a good light show, no doubt about it, right? But compared to yesterday at this time, the storms are not as intense. Agreed with that. And it's nice to also see the rain breaking up here. Now again, we still have our flood advisories. It's going to take a second to pop those on, but let's do that. Knuckles edits, I'm not expecting a nocturnal tornado risk. The coming day, starting to get some rain there in northern Titusville. Again, I want to bring on these flood advisories to check it. Takes just a second. Unfortunately, I have all of the advisories up, so it takes a while to fully pop on. So we still have the same flood advisories that are into play. I didn't expect them to change it. They're now going to go until 10 o'clock. I think they extended it by a half hour. So orange and Seminole till 10, minor flooding of low-lying areas and poor drainage. They've had 2 to 4 inches of rain and maybe an additional inch. I think that's the most we would get. So 3 to 5 inches. Orlando, Sanford, Apopka, Altamont Springs, Vito, Winter Springs, Winter Park, Castleberry, Maitland, Lake Mary, Longwood, Goldenrod, College Park, Lockhart. I do that for dramatic effect, by the way. Azalea Park, Pine Hills, Lake Jessup, Conway, Oak Ridge, and Belle Isle. 3 to 5 inches of rain. Flood advisory there. Palm Coast, your flood advisory goes for the next half hour-ish till 9:30. A little bit lower amounts there, but still 3 to 4.5 inches of rain. That is going to be for our friends in Palm Coast and in Bunnell. Not expecting hail in Brevard County. Not expecting crazy intense storms in Brevard County. We're looking pretty good. Pockets of heavy rain, pockets of gusty winds, a lot of lightning, more widespread. Hail threat, virtually zero. Tornado threat, virtually zero. Now, could there be the tiniest bit of hail embedded within this? Maybe. Probably not, though. These storms are waning in intensity, and that's great to see. It's good to see that these have broken apart, too. This special weather statement here, oh my goodness, where did I go on my map? This special weather statement here should absolutely already be canceled. This is not a storm worthy of a special weather statement, but it will expire in 5 minutes. Would you expect some rain and some lightning in the villages down 441 to hit Fruitland Park with a few developing showers in Leesburg? Yes, but it's not a strong storm any longer. I like what I'm seeing. I like what I'm seeing as far as any other concerns for the remainder of tonight. Good lightning down here still, but pretty rural area of southern Osceola County into East Polk County, but right around the turnpike. By the way, 91 on my map is the turnpike. And there you go. Most of Volusia County, everything is pushed offshore as well. So I like what I'm seeing here. Some heavy rain, Port St. John, Sharps and Cocoa, Rockledge as well, Merritt Island. All right. Friends, I think we're good. I really do. I don't think that we're going to have anything else that is going to crop up and cause any big problems for anyone. Obviously, if you live in Brevard County or Osceola County, these are still going to be noisy storms for a while. It's going to take an hour or two to wind everything down. And if you live along the coastal areas of Brevard County, you are still going to get hit with some moderate to intense rainfall, fair amount of lightning and gusty winds. But I don't expect these storms to have the opportunity to pulse back up. Again, tomorrow could be somewhat of a similar scenario, slightly different in the sense of that the East Coast sea breeze will activate earlier, so we could have a little bit more activity a little bit farther west for tomorrow. But I still think there's an opportunity for some strong to severe storms on Wednesday. Beginning on Thursday, I do believe we transition into a heavy rainfall potential threat. Of course, we've got our tropical development area now in orange with a moderate chance of development out to the east of us, but trying to get closer to our east coast. And if it does develop, we'll have to talk about, what that could bring, the excessive rainfall risk that could linger through the weekend, the coastal impacts for our beaches, and the elevated surf and sea conditions and coastal erosion. That's down the road, but this all ties together in this environment and why we're seeing such impactful storms over our area right now. This is the infrared satellite imagery and the visible satellite imagery. And you guys can just see how activated this whole trough line is with this potential development area as well, right? Several more days of what's going to be a very, watch and comment and keep an eye on kind of system for us here, right? Where we're going to have multiple rounds of storms every day, especially through tomorrow, and then potentially some heavy rainfall beginning on Thursday morning. That just keeps things very wet for the time being. Okay, I think we are good for the remainder of our live stream for right now. So I think we are going to call it a night. I appreciate you guys tuning in. As we say goodbye, a couple of notes. Please stick around for this. First of all, please remember that CFLW is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. You see their logo right below me here. Great supporters of the channel. Look, they have an important function. You get storm damage in your area, you get wind, hail, hurricane damage. They can walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. They offer free consultation and policy reviews. Want an advocate on your side when you have to go through the insurance process? Go to leanonmelaw.com if you guys would like more information. I appreciate those who have found ways to support me here on the channel. The super chat, the super thanks, our super stickers. Thank you to all of those. Let me mention those folks one more time. Fiona, Amy, Rhea, Nancy, you guys are absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for your support of the channel via those super thanks and super chats. You can find other ways to support the channel in the description of the video below as well. One very simple thing you guys can do for me is hitting that like button on the way out. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. I do suggest having all notifications on. Remember, this is a live only channel, so if you go to that bell icon and you click that, you'll see a couple of different tiers of notifications. You click all notifications, then you guys will know when I'm on. You can tune in because I'm only on live, so no video updates or anything like that. Not going to inundate you guys with notifications, but at least that way you know if you need to check in to the channel and see what's happening across Central Florida. Thanks again for liking and subscribing. Appreciate you guys so much. I'm monitoring the situation. If I need to come back on tomorrow, I certainly will. I'll be watching things overall, of course. If nothing else, I'll see you guys Friday for CFLW show at 1 o'clock. But even between now and then, we might have to talk about tropics locally across the area as well. Again, impactful weather the next several days is still on tap. Friends, thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great rest of your Tuesday evening. I'm sure I'll see you guys shortly here on CFLW. Take care.